Hi, and welcome to SCW for Night of Champions, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, it's taking place this Saturday. Of course, it'll be the May the 27th with 5 championships on the line, 7 matches in total. I've got 3 special guests with me here today. We're going to run through the matches and give our predictions. But before we do that, you need a match card. So without further ado, in case you're not sure what's coming up this Saturday, here it is. We can agree then that is a stacked looking show, and I've got a stacked lineup on the panel here with me today. Let's get everybody on one by one, starting by a regular on the channel. You could argue at this point he is my tag team partner. To be fair, if Sami Zayn and KO were not challenging Roman Solo, they're probably going against me and NXSteve. NXSteve, how you doing, my friend? Good to have you on the show.
Very good, my friend. Yeah, man, we take them on and we win, obviously, because we are the greatest tag team in the world.
Absolutely. The clue's in the name. It's the Steves. That's all we have. That's our gimmick.
Exactly.
We have the Steves. So,
Exactly.
yeah, it's great to have you back on the show. Obviously, you were part of Night of Champions, the rewind we did for 2015. Obviously, what's how are you feeling about the excitement levels then for this one we've got coming up?
It's pretty much the same as essentially the rewind we did for the 2015 one. It's a stacked card, so it's looking to be a really good show, and I am excited for it. It's just a shame that I'm going to be at work the time it's on air, so I'm going to have to unfortunately play catch up when I get home.
The one time we don't have to stay up till stupid o'clock in the morning, we're both working. Who would have thought it? But I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, someone who will be able to watch it live, and that's the reason why, is because time is always on his side. That's right. It doesn't matter what time in the world we are, ladies and gentlemen. One thing we can always be sure when looking at our clocks, it's Tino's time. Tino, how are you doing, my friend? Welcome to the stream. How are you feeling for Night of Champions? Welcome.
What's up? Thanks for having me back on the show. And yeah, you guys been doing a lot of shows together. You guys might have to go after Sami and Kevin at this point. Maybe they got to find some new competition. But I mean, I'm excited for it. I mean, it's definitely like I don't know why it's weird. Like no matter what happens with I always get excited for pay-per-views. Like there is a lot of pay-per-views on this weekend, premium live events. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited to see who is going to be the new world heavyweight champion. So I'm ready for it.
That is a big talking point. That'll be the main match we'll be talking about on this stream, ladies and gents, for those that are keeping score at home for the World Heavyweight title. But before we do, we could go for those tag team championships, guys. But the thing is, though, Tino's in the house. We can even create trios championships. But it feels like today we're going to be challengers because we've got someone joining the channel for the very first time. And can I say, he is dripped in gold, ladies and gentlemen. We are kicking it with Leo. Leo, welcome to the channel. How are you doing?
I'm feeling great. I appreciate you for having me.
It's great to have you on, honestly, and sporting the WWE Championship and the Intercontinental Championship there for you. So, on Night of Champions, which one are you defending?
I'm defending both.
Defending both. I like it. A bit Seth Rollins 2015.
Seth Rollins, my guy.
Absolutely, indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, excitement levels, Leo. How are you feeling for Night of Champions? You looking forward to the show?
I'm looking forward to the show. Night of Champions has always been one of my favorite pay-per-views as a kid growing up, and I'm just excited to see what could actually happen on the show. I mean, we got Roman going after the tag title since 2013, and we got different components that could actually play as a factor in some of these matches. So I'm very excited overall.
Absolutely. Joe, I've got to say, I share the sentiment as well. The excitement does seem to be in the air for this show. It does seem quite stacked overall. And I've got to say that the chat is getting stacked as well. There are a few people in here, and some for the first time as well. Joe is here for the first time. Says, I'm new to the channel. Joe, thank you for checking us out. We actually remember Joe from Tino's stream the other day. So, Joe, thank you for checking this out. Hope you're doing well. And Christian in the house as well. Says this is his first time on the channel. Thank you all for giving SCW a chance, and hope you're enjoying yourselves so far. And hope you enjoy the stream as we go throughout. And of course, we've got a regular in the chat for us right now. Too Sweet Carl from On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. He is too sweet as always. I've got to join in there as well. They said the loaded panel today is indeed, as it will be on Thursday for his show. That's right. He's doing double duty for Night of Champions and Double or Nothing in the same stream. And guess what? I get to be a guest on the Mark Wrestling Podcast for the very first time for the Night of Champions portion. Looking forward to that. And yeah, big thank you in advance for having me on the show. Make sure everyone to go and subscribe to On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. So without further ado, as you guys know in the chat, make sure to get involved as well. Share your predictions. Get involved in the conversation. We'll pull out the best comments throughout the show. But right now, everyone said they're quite excited for the show. But let's get a level between 1 and 10. What number are you at in that way? So NXSteve, I'll start with you. Where are you standing for Night of Champions 2023?
I'm probably going to go with a 7. I mean, there's some matches on here that are really essentially filler, that have no build, that I'm not really that excited for. But we're going to have a killer main event. We're going to have a new champion crowned. We may even get a shock somewhere down the line. So who knows? Absolutely,
indeed. There, and like you say, that there is it's actually a triple main event as well. Though we'll be talking about that even a bit more before we get started. But Tino, I'm going to ask you next. 1 to 10, where are you sitting at? You said you always got excitement for these shows.
I agree with it. I agree with Steve on it. I'm like a 6 or a 7, like you said. Like there's some filler matches and stuff, and it's one of those things I always say. And I think me, you, and Kai were actually talking about. I try not to get my hopes up too high, and I don't get my expectations up, just because then if something does really good happen, hypothetically Randy returns or something like that, then it's like, oh my goodness, like so. I have low expectations for all these pay-per-views just because they always say, just like the tag partner, everybody was wondering who was going to be, and it turned out to be Riddle last night. So it just, like I'm just excited to see who the winner is, the World Heavyweight title, see what happens with the tag match, and but like I said it yesterday on Raw, I don't understand why Natalya always seems to be going for the championship at I don't know. So I'm sure we'll get into it, but that just so.
I like it. That's a loaded answer. And to be fair, Tina, we're going to dissect all those points throughout the stream without question.
You got to stop me sometimes. I can keep talking.
Why would I? It's golden, literally. Almost like what is out on Leo's arms right now. It is golden every time you speak. So, Leo, examine levels 1 to 10. Where are you standing at?
I'm right now, as it stands right now, I'm like a 6 or 7 because, like everybody's been saying, some of the matches have been, filler. There's been no build for some of these matches for as a fan to get invested in these matches. So I mean, I think it's just going to probably some of these matches they might surprise us, but I'm not really holding my breath at the same time.
I could understand, and to be fair, I see where all of you are coming from with that. Some of these matches have been almost non-existent on build, but the ones that have been, I know that we're going to kind of get arguably a story that should have been right now would be on cooldown if it was my GM mode, but at the same time, that's one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most as well. I'm going slightly higher than it. I'm going to go an 8 purely because we're going to get a new World Heavyweight Champion. I do think that the way that they've structured this card, I think, is a clever card, and I understand not every single match is going to be, I suppose, let's say, competitive if you want, but at the same time, I think sometimes you need to have those matches. Otherwise, we're going to go back to the 4 or 5 hour pay-per-views. But NXT, was some hands sort of wave a little bit there. Was there something you wanted to add before we moved on?
I was literally just rubbing my hands, but I actually was going to say I'm shocked that Omos isn't on this pay-per-view somewhere. But then again, give it time.
Are you really?
We still have a couple of days.
Well, I can give you some information via PWInsider. Omos is scheduled to travel, who is not currently booked for the show, along with LA Knight, the Street Profits, Rick Boogs, and it was someone else. I will look at the report when I get a couple of seconds.
I saw the same report. I forgot who it was. Oh.
It will come to me. In fact, I will just. I've got my phone. It's unprofessional, ladies and gentlemen, but do you know what? The goods is here. Okay. If the goods is here, we're going to get it. Karrion Kross and Scarlett are the other two names that would be there. So that is the detail we've got there. And I've got to say, there could be some last minute additions to the card. We'll have to wait and see. But going into
always love to do it before. They always love to do it a few days before. I was just going to say.
Absolutely, you're right. We're bound to get a kickoff match. We're bound to get one for this show. We usually do. So we'll have to wait and see. But we've got Ed Fries in the house as well. Says, hey, everyone. Hope you're doing well, Ed. Our local establishment is in house as well. We'll be very busy this week as well with all things WWE, NXT, AEW more. Make sure to subscribe to our local establishment. Christian is so excited. I wish I could do the so justice there. So excited for Night of Champions there. And you love to see it as well. Too Sweet Carl says, I think we're due for some title changes on Saturday. I agree. Probably a 7 for him. Robbie Collins in house as well. We Talk Media in house as well. And Robbie fantastic as well with the stuff he's doing out there. Robbie. The whole squad is here. Hello, gents. Hope you guys are well. We're doing exceptionally well. Thank you. Even better knowing that you are in the house. Ed Fry says, Natty's a veteran and a good early person to be defeated. Helps solidify a title reign, especially while Trish and Becky are occupied. For me, I think that's a fantastic point that's been raised there. We'll be talking about Natalya in match 4 on this stream. The People's Wrestling Channel. I love that name, by the way. Reigns 1000th day. That's the most important thing. The rest is meh. Fair play. We're going to try and convince you. I'm going to try and convince you. If no one else will, I'm going to convince you during this show. You're going to get a lot better about it. Ed Fry says this would be an 8, but as it's Saudi, so it's a 6. Good point. Good point. Just leave that there. Noob & Co says, hello. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping well. And the people saying, all those names are irrelevant. They aren't Reigns. Philip, we've got a big Roman Reigns fan in the house. But I tell you what, we're not starting with Reigns. You have to wait till match 6 for that one. But just before we do, I will actually ask quickly 2 questions. First off, I'm going to start with Leo this time. I'm going to go around the other way. Which match are you most looking forward to on the show?
Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles for the World Heavyweight Championship. Easily.
I mean, it's got a dream match written all over it. Tino.
I feel like that's the match that everybody's looking forward to. So I'm very interested to see what goes on, and I feel like it's gonna go a certain way. But I want to see what Gunther and Ali do. I'm very interested to see like how Ali can stand, or if it's gonna be a squash match, or you know what I mean. So the World Heavyweight title I feel like is everybody's, you know. So
absolutely. NXSteve.
Just to be different, I'm going to say Cody and Brock, just because I want to see how this story is going to evolve and how it carries on. But otherwise, I would have said AJ and Seth because it has 5-star written all over it. But just to be different, I'll say Cody and Brock.
Fair play to you indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make the People's Wrestling Channel very happy. He's very clear in the comments that Reigns or no one. I actually am looking forward to that tag team match. I'm not going to lie to you because I do think that it's an interesting twist and development. You could simply have Reigns defend that championship, but let's be honest, on the 1000th day, we all know how it's going. Give that shine to the World Heavyweight Championship the best you can. Reigns is going for something different on this show. They've done it with storyline narrative. I think it's going to be fun how they're going to play it because it could go so many different ways of what they're looking to do with those tag team championships. Ed Fry's here saying to us next now, KO and Sami versus the Bloodline, how Sami is treated versus Syria. I would just say Syrian. There we go. Thank you very much. In Saudi is my focal point. Do you know what? It's going to be an interesting point as well. Obviously, I'll keep it quick now, so we just haven't got to go back to it because it's not the fun part. But politically, obviously, it's allowed the fact that Sami can go there. It's great that Sami has felt to himself that he will go to this show. KO as well. The friendship there also is going to support Sami and go also. So we're getting that for the first time. It definitely adds a different layer, and it must be weird for Sami to be going to one of these shows, but certainly will be interesting and hopefully will be one of the matches that will steal the show. Nubiko here saying triple main event of Night of Champions is going to be exciting, but the Asuka and Bianca match is just plain filler just to pee me off. The Asuka fans on Twitter, absolutely indeed. No, but hopefully, Noob, we're going to make you feel better as we go along. But last question I'm going to ask just before we go into our first match, and I'm going to go around the table here one time. Tina, I'm going to start with you. It's a triple main event of this show. We've got Cody Brock, we've got the Tag Team Championships, the Unified Ones, Sami and KO versus Roman and Solo, and we've also got the World Heavyweight Championship. Which one should actually be the main event of this show?
So I actually thought he said Triple H at first. I thought he said Triple H was main eventing. I was like, wait a minute. It's a triple main. So honestly, I think the World Heavyweight title should. I feel like with the promos they've been doing and the packages they've been doing with Seth, I'm very excited. Just that I want to see that video package. Whoever makes those things does a phenomenal job, and I feel like this is going to be even greater. And I feel like to end the show with the world title would just make sense, because then the next time we will see them is Monday for Raw, which should be whoever wins that match come out and do whatever they're going to do and have the challenger come out, because Sunday is Battleground for NXT, and they might mention something, but I don't see them like, Seth or AJ is obviously not going to come out at Battleground. So
it's a long way to Massachusetts, I've heard. So
I feel like that is the one that will.
Absolutely. NXSteve, I'll go to you next.
Just to back up what Tino said, I think if you want to make the biggest deal out of this World Heavyweight Championship and make it not be the B-class title that everyone's stating it to be, it needs to be the main event. You need to have the winner stand tall, especially like Tino said, you got Raw coming up on Monday. You need to make this title the big deal at this pay-per-view.
Absolutely. Leo?
I also kind of agree. The World Heavyweight Championship should be defended in the main event, because I think you want people to take the championship seriously, and putting it like in the middle card or like in the first match, it's just going to diminish, the legacy that this championship holds. So It's got to be the main event.
Do you know what? I agree with Full House here. Literally, I mean, it makes the most sense, doesn't it? I have a feeling, if they want to make this the deal, it's going to be that it should be the main event. For me, Roman should be the opener. That's what I think should happen, and I think Cody and Brock should be somewhere sandwiched perfectly in the middle. But that's my opinion, NXT. That's my opinion. I know the People's Wrestling Channel already hates me for that as well. But just to quickly say as well, Ed Fry's here in house says, "Can't wait to be in the Crown for Battleground." How amazing is that? By the way, it'll be an amazing time at that show. That is awesome. And the World Heavyweight title should main event. Roman can open the show for once. Exactly, because Roman, if he doesn't like to be the main event, usually he does open them. That's usually what happens. But
Just
we'll
like
see
Brock,
if that's
though.
the case.
So it should be
Yeah, exactly. You're forgetting Brock at this point, man. Brock is the opener, man. If he ain't
Brock
main event,
always
he's
opens,
opening.
though.
He's unhappy, though, that he wasn't in the main event of WrestleMania. Like, he's changed his stance. He wants to be around. He's going to be angry he's match 4. He's not realised that the reason is because he broke Cody's arm. You know what I mean?
Maybe he shouldn't have faced Omos at WrestleMania. Maybe he couldn't have main event.
Maybe should have won the Royal Rumble. I'm just saying. I'm
Okay.
throwing the idea out there.
I mean, the Elimination Chamber, Money in the Bank. I mean, there was a lot of options.
Don't you bring up that Money in the Bank again? No,
Dude,
don't you do it?
Don't
you do that?
I'm not
Don't you
talking
do
about Dana Brooke. Relax.
Have you seen what that has happened to Mustafa Ali since the Money in the Bank? Do not mention Brock and Money in the Bank ever again, Tino, honestly.
No.
It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
Please don't, dude. And what he said last night on Raw, like, come on, don't say that again.
What did I say? I forgot.
Because what Brock said to Mustafa Ali on Raw, like, come on.
It's like, kid.
Get a life, kid. Yeah, we'll be talking about that a bit later on. Oh, yeah, it was quite painful, that. And so Sue said, I thought there was a chance they were going to take out Sami, and KO would have had to have defended it on his own. But I guess Sami is making the trip. He is making the trip indeed. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it will go on, and we'll give one for the People's Wrestling Channel. Very active in the comments. Roman Reigns, the main event, as it's his 1000th day. We have a few more comments as well. We have also one here for Roman Reigns to open the show. And Eric Douglas still wants Roman versus Priest. Maybe one day, my friend. Maybe one day.
Soon.
So without further ado, I think we've gone around the table and done everything in. We're 17 minutes into the stream. It feels like a very good time, if any, to go and talk about our first match of the show. So without further ado, let's talk about Cody Rhodes, one-arm Cody against Brock Lesnar, the Beast incarnate. Now, we're going to take this from where it left off at Backlash. Cody managing to get a kind of lucky win, if you will. We kind of was in the Kimura, managed to get his body weight on top of Brock Lesnar to kind of get a victory, but it wasn't as definitive and decisive as perhaps maybe some would have wanted. As we kind of suggested on quite a number of these channels as well, that Brock would cost Cody Rhodes in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament, and that is exactly what happened. Of course, Brock basically said he wanted a fight. That's what he wanted to do. He took Cody out, and later on we learned that Cody wanted to fight as well. The thing is, since then, it's not gone perfectly well for Cody Rhodes. He's able to talk the talk, but when it comes to walking the walk, the guy's got a broken arm. He got taken out last night on Monday Night Raw, and of course, he was in the opening segments, the arm was broken. He decided that even when Brock went out and said, I'm going to make an open challenge for someone else to face me at Night of Champions because Cody's got a boo-boo, Cody still came out and still decided he was going to go for it. But of course, his arm even more broken now after being put in the Kimura. Adam Pearce couldn't help. EMTs couldn't help. The only one person that could come in and continue like this, it was Papa H. Triple H all day long had to come in there, had to try and talk some sense to Cody, but even he couldn't really talk sense to Cody. Cody, after all, said, I need to fight. What would you do? What would you do? You've been in this position. You would fight. I'm going to be there, and I am going to fight. And we kind of saw that kind of like father and son almost relationship in a way. It was kind of like just that pat on the knee, kind of like, go on then, kid. We know you're doing the wrong thing, but you're going to do it anyway. Remember what happened with Seth last year? For me, I'm just going to add one small nugget in there before I go around to the table, see what everyone thinks about this. I just want to say quickly that I do feel Cody and Brock, I don't want to say it had nothing going for it for me, but I will say that this storyline that played out on Raw really helped it. I think the week before when Cody as well said the idea that he was now going to be the future main eventer and Brock was jealous of that idea, adds some storyline narrative to this. So it's helped in the last couple of weeks a lot of the excitement I had before it. I do think now we potentially could have an exciting style match like we had with Cody and Seth last year at Hell in a Cell. The only problem is, though, it's Brock Lesnar. It's not Seth Rollins. So I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. But first and foremost, Leo, I see you shaking your head. How are you feeling about this build? Are you excited for this match?
At first when they announced it, I was like, wasn't excited because I feel like if they were going to do a second part to this match, I feel like they should have added a stipulation to the match. The way I feel like with Cody, I'm a big fan of Cody. Everybody knows that. But I think as a babyface, post-Mania, they haven't really been booking him the strongestly like they should. Because I get it, like, he has the heart of a champion, but I think he should also be logical as well. Like, I know you want to be the heart of a champion and want to show that you're not afraid of anybody, but you got to think logically here. You have one arm and you're going up against somebody who wants to pretty much kill you. He pretty much wanted to do just that. And if it was me, I would be thinking with my head and not with my heart in this situation if I'm Cody. Because this is why I feel like they should have treated Cody like I don't know, he wouldn't be a heel in this situation, but like more of like an edgier baby face. Like, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. If Brock Lesnar comes after him, he's not afraid to get him back. And it seems like this entire story, Brock has been attacking Cody from behind. That's pretty much what's been going on. And I feel like for Cody, if you want us to buy into him potentially being the one to defeat Roman, we gotta first say to ourselves, can he beat not Roman, but Brock with one arm? I don't think so. Because we've seen how Brock can do in these situations. And he doesn't take too kindly of it. And he pretty much broke his arm. So the question is, what kind of condition will Cody be against a 100% Brock Lesnar?
It's a great question. It is a great question. NXT, I'm going to throw it over to you. How does one-armed Cody fare in a butt-whipping contest with Brock Lesnar?
He doesn't, simply.
He doesn't.
This narrative is going to play out into Money in the Bank and then onto SummerSlam, where it will finally conclude. Because for me, this result's only going one way. If they're playing the whole broken arm angle, this perfectly ties up for Money in the Bank, because I can see it happening. Like, I'm just going to give my prediction away now because I need to sort of explain my thing. Brock's going to win. He's going to absolutely destroy Cody. Cody is now going to go missing until Money in the Bank. Somehow Brock Lesnar is going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Cody Rhodes is going to be the one to cost Brock Lesnar the Money in the Bank ladder match. Someone else will win it, and then their story will finally conclude at SummerSlam. That's what I'm going to go with, just as a long shot, because I think that way it throws a lot of people off who's going to win the Money in the Bank, and then they can finally settle the score at SummerSlam. Plus, Cody's got to lose at some point, man, because I'm pretty sure he still hasn't lost a singles match.
He did.
With Roman. Clean.
Clean, fair enough. Yeah. Clean. I go with you. I like the idea, because I was worried for a minute. The idea. Can you imagine Cody and Money in the Bank ladder match with one arm, just trying to half reach for the briefcase? I don't think that's going to work very, very well.
That's what I'm saying. A broken arm takes normally about 6 weeks to heal, and between Night of Champions and Money in the Bank, which is 1st of July, you're looking at it's probably about 6 weeks. So technically the story could play out that way.
I like it. Tino, how are you feeling?
I mean, I kind of like Steve's idea. I mean, I think that would be definitely interesting, and I think I see, and that's the thing. Like, Steve kind of convinced me to take Brock Lesnar in this, because I was going with Cody, and I was thinking Cody was going to win, but he's absolutely right. Cody's got to lose at some point, and they are going to push this to Money in the Bank and SummerSlam, and that would make sense to do it like that, because then, because Brock obviously has been in Money in the Bank before and everything, so it's not like he hasn't. So it's, it would be interesting to see. And we all might obviously know it's predictable that he's going to cost them, just like we know when, but I think that is going to be what probably happens. And I was thinking maybe Cody wins and he wins Money in the Bank and goes cashing in on Roman. But I mean, I don't know how that's going to go. And obviously a lot could change till then. So I'm going to go with Brock to win this match. And Steve just convinced me and everything he said.
Yeah, he convinced.
All I'm gonna add to it is, who was on top of the ladder when Brock was the surprise entrance at
No, don't. I don't want to relive that again.
Who did he wind up last night? And who? The narrative is just going all the right way.
Y'all convinced me,
Mustafa.
I wasn't gonna go with him.
Especially is after Mustafa Ali's promo from his car as well. I mean, there is some layers to this. Like there's dots that have been connected. Whether they've perfectly made a Money in the Bank briefcase, we'll have to wait and see. But at the same time, we'll have to wait and see how we're going to play it. But for me, I love the ideas. I love the fantasy booking. For me, that is something I would be quite interested in seeing. I've seen a comment in here. I'm going to bring it up saying that Lesnar definitely won't be showing up in London. He's going to Saudi though. I think if the money's right. if the money is right, surely he would go. But at the same time, I would have felt it would have skipped Money in the Bank and gone to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
If you've got a broken arm, you want Cody to recover. But at the same time, WWE are going to go ahead with this. Cody's not going to be taking time off at this point. We know that the broken arm isn't legit. So, I mean, obviously, I suppose, Leo, I'll go back to you at the second because I feel like the guys have kind of given their predictions there. Are you going for Cody or are you going for Brock?
I'm going to go for Brock Lesnar in this situation. And then we'll, like I was going to mention earlier, I think Cody will probably win Money in the Bank. And then maybe we'll pick back up with that feud between Brock and Cody going into SummerSlam. And then maybe do the final match in a stipulation. Then we'll finally get to see Cody cash in after that. So he'll probably be pulling WWE that night.
I was going to say, what if Cody wins and cashes in after?
That's what I was thinking.
After he beats Brock, then he goes on and so he beats Brock and Roman in one night.
In the same night, yeah.
So,
that's impressive. That would be something, wouldn't it? That get you talking instant main eventer. Can I just say quickly, I like that idea a lot, and I'm going to agree with it. I do feel that everyone's talking about the idea of Cody not going through adversity. Now, clearly he has. He had to leave the company, reinvent himself as the American Nightmare, and start a wrestling company and come back. He's been through adversity, ladies and gentlemen. He's been Stardust. We reviewed it the other day. He's been through adversity, but at the same time, everyone looks and sees this Cody run has not been through that adversity. So it's great to see that this is actually a storyline now that can work for that. Because when he had the adversity with Seth last year, which again I think a lot of people seem to, forget about. And he's now come back. He's going through it again, and it's like this is the show where he needs to be humbled. He needs to lose. He's being heavily protected by having the broken arm. But as Leo said there before, I think that he still then will overcome that adversity with one arm and win Money in the Bank. But then we'll revisit at SummerSlam. But for this show here and now, I've got Brock taking the rematch. I think we're going to a trilogy, ladies and gentlemen. And the last thing I will just say on it, and I'll just quickly go around the table afterwards and see if everyone agrees, but I think it would be sending the wrong message out this time if Cody wins, because it will intensify the idea of him almost being like John Cena wins LOL. And I think fans might start turning before he even gets to the point of winning the championship. NXT, would you agree with that comment?
I would agree.
He needs to essentially. He's on the kind of the same path as Roman. Like he needs to go through these people. He needs to beat Brock to then go on to become champion. All this kind of stuff. If he does win somehow with one arm, it's the point of, well, why did he lose to Roman? Because if he can beat Cody with one arm, if he can beat Seth with a torn bicep, why did he lose to Roman Reigns? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm going with Brock. Brock has to win this.
Absolutely. Tino, it would be the wrong move, wouldn't it, if Cody was to win this?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that, where it's just like, and as a John Cena fan, like I've seen like how much, and you don't want somebody to go through that again. And like, again, we saw it with Roman and everything. Like, if they really want to build up Cody the way they need to, have him lose a little bit and have him, because, fans just going to be shoving him down our throats. And we all love the IWC on Twitter. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Leo, anything you'd like to add before we go to the chat?
I kind of agree with you guys are saying. I think Cody definitely he's been through adversity, but I think since post-Mania, I think that was the first step towards him going through adversity by losing to Roman, now losing to Brock, and now trying to get back to where he was at first. Because if you have him win again, it's like, what's the point? So
I have to agree. Well, let's go to the chat then and see what everyone has got to say. I say we're picking out the best of these ones here that we've got. So we've got Nubico says Brock Lesnar has been full rage mode. I've never seen Brock this violent. Brock has been on a special tear as of late, and he really has had his sights set on Cody since WrestleMania. We've got a SmackDown question. Eric, I'll try and take for this one for you quickly. It says, can someone please explain why a SmackDown superstar is teaming with Raquel for the four-way? Because the draft, unfortunately, doesn't seem to mean anything. Paul Heyman was on Raw this past week. It's just, unfortunately, it is what it is. The People's Wrestling Channel, not a fan of Cody. No sympathy for all the promos being the same. Unfortunately, bores him. I think you might be on your own with that one, unfortunately, here. Also, we've got Joe here. Joe's got a comment in and says, I think by now Cody should have been champion if Solo Sikoa did not cheat. I think, are we going to get any returns? Do we think we'll get any returns for this show? For me, I'm going to stick my neck out immediately and say no on that one. I don't see any surprise returns. I suppose Lita would be the most likely, if any, but I don't see any personally. Leo?
No, I don't see any either.
Tino?
No, I do not see any returns. As much as it would be nice, I feel like a return would be Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. We might even see a return at Battleground on Sunday before we see something at Night of Champions.
It's not Battleground.
Silk.
If there was a 1% chance, maybe Drew to hold, like maybe progress a story with Gunther for that IC title, but I very much doubt it.
Absolutely. We've answered this one a bit already, Daz, in detail, but we will say that it's certainly added a bit of drama to this match here. I think everyone's got definitely a clear indication of where we think the result is going. But yeah, a bit of storyline narrative, and looks like this one could be dragged out to SummerSlam. Daz here is saying as well that Brock to win also. And we been asked by Eric how Cody is going to finish that story at SummerSlam. Well, we've gone through Money in the Bank as our way to do it. And also Joe, once again, here saying, I think that we have to make Roman Reigns is dominant at the moment. Is there anyone who could take Dan Roman? Well, I'm guessing that dang is dang Roman. We're hoping Cody at SummerSlam, but we'll have to wait and see. If not, it could go all the way to WrestleMania. And if not, then we hope it's my boy Gunther. Ed Fries, can't wait to see Solo scream Roman and cash in Money in the Bank on him. Oh, could you imagine?
Solo is Money in the Bank. Let's do it.
Oh, that's just lethal.
That is lethal.
That's the craziest Money in the Bank winner ever.
And we'd love it as well.
Even more than Mr. Kennedy, sorry.
Absolutely.
Imagine if Umaga would have won one around like his time of like 2006 or 7 or something like that. That would have been great to watch him walk around with it.
He would have won the world title. He would have cashed in perfectly, and I think he would have had to have won it. He couldn't have lost.
Yeah,
it would have been amazing.
Who was the first person to lose it? Wasn't it Cena that didn't?
No. The first person to lose Money in the Bank?
Yeah, not cash in correctly. Who was I? Was it Cena?
John Cena in 2012.
That's what I thought. Okay.
He failed on Raw 1000. If you're going about losing the briefcase, it was Mr. Kennedy back in 2007.
Yeah, because Mr. Kennedy lost the Edge.
Yeah, no, I knew that. I was just meaning like unsuccessful cash in.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Cena or if it was Sandow. Because I remember
it was Cena, then Sandow.
Oh. Yes, that was the one. Leo's on the facts tonight for us. I love it. Two Speaker says when Cody needs more hard times, literally, it seems to be before things get better. Joe says, no, there's rumors of Cena the show at SummerSlam. The John Cena is getting to the age now where I think he will the time? Would it be retire? I don't know. I'm not sure, Joe. Clarify that for us. We'll get back to that comment for you. Nubico says, I'm going with Brock Lesnar winning. Like it. And also, Eric, how does he finish the story of back-to-back is the way to finish the story? Absolutely. Brock and Roman in the same night seems to be a popular one there. Nubico says, a lot of people saying that Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt should come back, but I'll wait until their return at SummerSlam. There was a QR code last night, not that I looked at it. Solo in the Bank. Ripley in the house as well. So always with a pinch of salt, but I think this one could be safe. Richard Rhodes, Bianca Belair retains the Raw Women's Championship. We'll be talking about that in match 5 today, if we ever get there, of course. Damien Sandow, of course, 2013 there. Nice little shout there. And Eric also saying thoughts on the possibility of Cody as Universal Champion versus Gunther at WrestleMania 40. I'll answer it first and going, I absolutely love it. Leo.
I love it, and I've been hearing that's one of the plans going into WrestleMania 40, and I will be at WrestleMania 40, so I would definitely be watching it in person. So,
yeah, this guy,
I love it. NXSteve.
Absolutely, I'd love to see it. It's like I said, I'm just glad we're getting the Triple H Paul Levesque version of Gunther instead of the squashed losing version Vince McMahon was going to portray.
Oh God,
absolutely. And Tino.
That 4th of July story just gives me anxiety every time I think it was 4th of July when Gunther was going to get, oh God. I would love to see it, and I'm down for it. And while we were talking about Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, I think actually today's Bray Wyatt's birthday. So happy birthday, Bray.
There you go. Happy birthday to Bray. Indeed.
Yeah, so I would love to see it, but I don't even want to think about WrestleMania 40. I want to get through the year, like we're taking 2024, it's already June,
I'm getting old as it is, guys. Let's not talk about WrestleMania yet. You know what I mean? But no, just to say quickly, last comment I'll say on this before we move on. Obviously, Cody, poor years he would have though. 2 years ago, last year he actually had a torn pectoral. This year seems to have a broken arm in storylines, and next year he's going to have a red chest with Gunther. He's not going to get away, likely, is he? Poor sausage.
Is his arm really broken, or is it just part of the storyline?
I think it's part of the storyline, I believe.
Okay, I was going to say, because I didn't think so. But
yeah,
part of the storyline.
All a part of that story. But I tell you, I think we've concluded as good as we can then that storyline. So we will move on then in the meantime to match 2 of our stream, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll get ourselves a nice little graphic up.
Hey.
It is going to be the man, Becky Lynch, taking on the legend that is Trish Stratus. So, I mean, in the chat, can we get a thank you, Trish?
Yeah.
Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see if we get a thank you, Trish, as we go along. Of course, Trish has paved the way. She's gone through some hard times to get everyone where they are today. But at the same time, is she that? Should she be that entitled? Becky Lynch, of course, they were partners at WrestleMania 39. And of course, Trish actually helped Becky defend the Women's Tag Team Championships. We say helped. She took out Lita and then lost those championships and then decided to turn heel and take out Becky Lynch because Becky wasn't grateful enough for everything that Trish did previously. Becky was missing for a while, even to the point we got some missing posters and a missing t-shirt. Trish was bad-mouthing even Becky's daughter at one point. Of course, Becky then did return, though, after the prank music was done, the traditional prank music, to then do it a second time for Trish to go, well, the joke is over, only for Becky to actually show up and punch the lights out of Trish Stratus. Since then, I think Trish has kind of been trying to avoid Becky at all costs, but during this contract sign this past week, she tried to get a no-touch clause that didn't kind of work out. Although Becky says she wants her at 100% at Night of Champions, and pretty much she says that Trish is very nervous about the idea of this match. Trish, of course, reminding us this was her first contract signing, very special for her, and pretty much putting along the lines that she's going to prove why she's still the greatest. However, Becky Lynch reminding Trish Stratus of some of those hard times. Of course, the infamous Vince McMahon barking like a dog segment on Raw to close things off. And NXSteve shaking your head there. What are your thoughts been of the build of this match?
It's kind of to me personally, I think it's fallen flat since the whole betrayal by Trish, like when they lost the tag team titles. Like I've kind of been sort of disinterested in it. Like I'm waiting for something to just catch my attention on it. That's why I'm finding it really hard to even contemplate who's going to win this one, because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, do I really want to see this go into another match at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam or whatever? So, like I said, I need convincing with this one. This is probably one of the few I'm not overly sold on at the minute for this show.
Fair play, Tino.
I'm looking forward to this match, and I love heel Trish. And as you guys know and stuff, you guys were on some of it. Me going when I was up when we did the Retro WrestleMania series and everything like that. Watching the heel Trish and seeing everything that she did, like from the early 2000s, everything was so great and everything. And it's like it's been good, but as Steve said, it's just like, what are they doing? And since she turned heel, it's like, where is this going? Are we just getting some big match at SummerSlam so then Trish can leave? Like, what are we doing with this? And again, I feel like this is a hard one to choose either way, because I feel like either way, whoever does win, there's going to be I don't know. So it is very hard, and it's one of those things. I love these two women to watch them go out there and wrestle, but it just the story just hasn't all the way been there for me. But I mean, I'm sure they're going to go out there and put on a good show. They're two professionals, and WrestleMania feels like it's been 2 or 3 months already. I still can't believe it.
It does go around quickly. Obviously, two of the GOATs there, Becky Lynch and Trish there. Leo, how are you feeling with this one?
This feud, I mean, I feel like the high point of this feud is when Trish actually turned. I think that's pretty much been the high point of this entire feud. I think outside of that, it's kind of felt flat. And I think this is one of the matches I feel like it can go either way, but the whole thing is supposedly this match is going to probably end up being dragged out to, SummerSlam. So maybe whoever wins here, then they'll probably end up being the Money in the Bank ladder match, and then that's how you get to SummerSlam from Money in the Bank. So
that's a very good point you bring up there, Leo. And the reason I'm going to emphasize on that point is to do with the idea that Trish was drafted in the WWE draft this year. You'd think if she was here for a one and done feud, that this would be it. This would be the closing chapter. But it feels like win, lose, or draw, Trish could be involved with Money in the Bank this year. She's never been in one, and she's a part of the Raw roster, which means it feels like she could be sticking around for a while. NXSteve.
She could be. Like I said, I'm hoping so. I mean, otherwise, what was the point in drafting her? Like we discussed when we were talking about the results of the draft, and I was shocked that Trish was drafted. So you knew she was going to be around for a certain period of time. Hopefully, say it's another 12 months. But I'm waiting. Going back to what I said earlier about this whole rivalry. I think Lita's going to play a big part in this, because I think, do you know what I feel we haven't had in a while is a good old special guest referee match, and then who better to put as a ref than the best friend of Lita and the former tag team partner of Becky Lynch? So do you know what I mean? I'm waiting for that intrigue where you get. Then it comes down to Lita, and it's like, who's she going to side with? Is she going to be a straight down the middle referee kind of thing? Do you know what I mean? I'm waiting for something to just pull me in and catch me with this one.
I like it. I like it indeed. There, guys. I mean, Leo, we were talking about your point there just a minute ago. There, obviously, the idea of Trish could be around for the long term. I mean, what would be the aspirations you'd want to see from a Trish Stratus staying around in WWE? Is it like this is the one program, or is it to be in sort of things like Money in the Bank, perhaps some War Games, or is it simply to be against some of the best talent of today?
I think with Trish, one of the things I think I would probably could see possibly happening, even though I don't know if it's going to be long term, but like you just mentioned, War Games, I think that can be, she could be one of the captains for this year. And then we have Team Becky versus Team Trish. Over the next few months, we could probably see Trish form a tag or like a faction on Raw to kind of help her get the better of Becky Lynch until Becky has no choice but to get a group of her own.
Interesting. I like the philosophy of that. Tina, anything you'd like to add there before we go into prediction?
And that's the one thing with it where I'm very interested to see with them go and everything like that. And as we were talking about with the Brock and Cody, I was just thinking about this. What if Trish is in Money in the Bank, and that is the way they set it up for SummerSlam, is instead of Cody and Brock being the ones that cost each other, maybe Becky costs Trish, or maybe Lita returns and costs something like that, where we see some type of excitement where Steve said he needs something to be there, maybe, and something like that, maybe like, oh, okay, and maybe that leads to a special guest referee, because having Lita as a special guest referee, yeah, she's doing her thing with the Most Wanted Treasures and all that stuff, or whatever they're doing, because she took a little bit of a break. That's why they wrote her off for a little bit. But by SummerSlam, I think that they should come back and everything, because it's just like they say, it's the WrestleMania of the summer. They want everybody involved for SummerSlam. So I think that would be a great way. And I feel like that's what's going to happen. And I feel like no matter how this ends, I feel like this might be a match we see end in a disqualification, so then it can go and lead to another match.
I like the philosophy you've got there with the DQs. That's definitely an escape route if you want to carry this over to another show. And I've got to say, obviously not going to give much of my take on what I felt of the build. I felt it's been okay in places. I do feel that I understand where everyone's coming from on it, but I must admit that I really enjoyed the contract signing. I'm not usually a big fan of them. I did enjoy that this week. I felt that it felt like it was personal, and I like that. It felt like there was actually something going on this week, despite the fact Becky's glasses were quite distracting. But at the same time, I have a feeling that this match before, if you'd have asked me this about a week ago, I was thinking one and done. Perhaps maybe they'll do this. Becky will win and she'll move on. But we start to think now this could be more matches involved here. I mean, you have two legends in the ring here. People have suggested Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. I mean, it could even be just a straight up match at Money in the Bank. Becky's going to be at that show, obviously, competing, obviously being in London, England. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that. But I mean, ultimately, I'm going to now make a prediction and say that I think Trish Stratus actually is going to take this. I'm going to go the other way. I think that rather than a DQ, I think she's going to cheat to win. That could lead to something there, like NXT saying there. If you want Lita to get involved in the middle, whether the referees can't control what's going on, perhaps with cheating, shenanigans, whatever it is, that's a good excuse to bring her in. So my prediction is going to be Trish Stratus. I think it's going to be a heel tactic to do so, and I think Becky will probably get her revenge at a later show. NXT, what's your prediction?
For as much as you make perfect sense on top of what I just said, I'm actually going to go with Becky, because I think for me, I want to see Trish be spiteful and vindictive and not accept the fact that she lost to Becky Lynch, and I want to see her at some point in the future cost her an opportunity against Bianca Belair or Rhea Ripley, whoever the champion is on the brand. You know what I mean? I want an excuse for this rivalry to continue out, because I don't want Rhea versus Becky at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. It's like, to me, that's a Mania match for me. So I'd rather see some reason as to why this story has to continue. So for me, I'm going to go Becky Lynch.
Oh, I like it. Tina, what's your prediction?
I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say it ends in a DQ.
I like it. And who would benefit from that DQ decision?
I say if there's going to be a winner, I say it's going to be Trish. But I think it would benefit Trish probably, because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who would benefit more.
I think if you go with that DQ, like you said, that maybe there's an idea that maybe Trish brings something into the ring, because that's usually the way that the heels work. The babyface uses it, and all of a sudden, there you go. Oh, caught you out. You've got the DQ.
Eddie Guerrero
The win.
type.
Pretty much, yeah. But actually, in a way, it was meant to be done, obviously. But live cheating still did go over much better than it ever probably should have done. And well, you need an Eddie Guerrero to make that happen. But Leo, what's your prediction, my friend?
I gotta go with Trish. I think Trish is gonna do something where, like, when the ref's not looking, she might, blind her or have her foot on the ropes or just use a weapon, something along the lines of that to get her the edge going forward, and then she can be going on Raw like bragging, "Oh, I beat Becky," but it's not really over. So I gotta go with Trish.
I like it. Some good shouts there indeed. Let's see what our chat has got to say. Eric, wishing a happy birthday to Brian Danielson. I believe it's his birthday just a couple of days ago. Happy birthday to Brian Danielson. He watches these streams all the time, in case anyone didn't know. Noob & Co says, thank you, Trish. I love that, Noob. Thank you for actually doing that. Someone actually listened to me. I love it. Ed says, yawned, Becky Lynch chat, lol. I'm very sorry, Ed, if you're not a fan. But we're almost there now. If you're still with us, we're not far away from it. We've got a thank you, Becky, not Trish clap going on from WWE 26. Eric, we're doing the classic 2001 there from Trish Stratus there in the comments. Daz here saying thank you, Trish, as well. We've got another thank you, Trish. Oh, goodness, dear man.
Oh,
That's, well,
That's not PG.
It's not PG. It's not PG at all. We'll let that go this time. I'm going to try and read these comments before I bring them up. Daz says Becky to win. Also, Richard in here as well, saying with his spoilers, remember, AJ Styles match interrupted by the Judgment Day. Then Edge, then Bianca Belair saves AJ Styles, and AJ turns heel. Because with Richard, everyone always turns heel. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Eric, Liv might be out for 9 months. That would be horrific if that's the case. Hope she makes a recovery.
I wanted to say this before I forget. I feel like that's maybe one of the reasons why Trish is I know she got drafted and everything, but maybe that's part of the reason why she is going to stick around now, because we've seen a lot of injuries happen with Liv, Dakota, NXT superstars and everything, because I feel like that was another reason why the draft went the way it did with the women. I feel like if Sol and Nikita didn't tear their ACLs, I feel like we may have seen like a Roxanne Perez. So I just wanted to mention it before I forgot about it. So that may be why Trish is sticking around for a little bit longer.
Great point made indeed there. Two Sikoas with me on that one, or could be with NXSteve, but he's with one of the Steves here, and also other people hating on the build so much. We're getting a dream match. It is me. We're getting a dream match between these two. I'm not complaining. No, it's good to see no complaining all round. Eric says means right around Rumble return for Liv Morgan. That would be the case, and if that is it. Also, we've got loads of new comments coming in there. Richard, I'm sure Zoe Stark is not going to get involved in Trish Stratus and Lynch, but I love the involvement. Christian thinks Becky Lynch will win. We've got Trish Stratus to win from Noob and Co as well. I do apologise because it is working a bit slowly tonight, the stream, unfortunately. I can't actually keep
one of the few people that's going for Becky here. I'm on my own in the corner.
Well, Christian's got your side there.
Oh, well, that's all right. So at least someone's backing me.
So absolutely. Thank you very much, Eric. Eric, Ed. Literally, this is how bad this is going for me tonight. I appreciate it. I'll let you know if I need a mod in here. I'll try and keep on top of it as well. Joe says, yes, would you like me to do predictions on a separate video, or would you like them on here? You can share your predictions with us on here if you want, Joe, but of course you can do predictions as well. Let everyone know your channel. Share the love. We'll make sure everyone goes and subscribes to you. Dad says, pick up Joseph as well. And I'm with you on the pick NXSteve. That's what we like to see. Tisco says, why do one of you always decide to talk before my comment? Fickle. It's just, unfortunately, the way it is. It's not as if we plan it, but sometimes it's just what happens, unfortunately. But yeah. But for good news for Ed Fries, the Becky Lynch talk is over. We're going to move on to match 3. In fact, for the next couple of matches, we're going to try and whiz through them, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm pretty sure the predictions are quite obvious. Starting with Gunther versus Mustafa Ali for the Intercontinental Championship. And I can say we're in for a lovely treat once the graphic comes away, because Kicking It With Leo has got that championship wearing it proud for us there. Now, let's be honest, there's not been any build. It is. It's a beautiful Intercontinental title, that. Let's be honest, the build for this is non-existent. But one thing, I'm going to give a shout out to Jonesy. Jonesy Chats Wrestling. He said that Mustafa Ali, he seed before he won the Battle Royal, was going to get a 1-2-3 kid style push. It seems to have worked that way. Obviously, he beat Otis on Raw. He won that Battle Royal. But unfortunately, Gunther's already planning a feud with Riddle. It's been happening since Mustafa Ali won that Battle Royale. More interested rather than actually the prediction, but I will get your predictions as well. Is the Mustafa Ali stuff on Raw, where "Get a Life, Kid" was said to him. Tino, what were your thoughts with this? And obviously, have you seen Mustafa Ali's video that he posted on social media afterwards?
I did not see it. I wasn't able to watch it yet. I retweeted it so I could watch it like after we were done here. So then because I was going to watch it before NXT tonight. But I mean, I really like Ali. Like I really do. And maybe that's just because he's from Chicago and he has all that, this and that and everything. And I've kind of enjoyed like what he's been doing. I like that he's kind of getting somewhat of a push in some sort of way. And I know not everybody likes his face thing and everything like that. But, I mean, at least he's getting on TV and he's getting out there and he's being able to show at least something. Because for a while there, he was doing stuff with Ricochet on Main Event. He was putting out great promos. He was putting this and that. So he has a lot of talent and a lot of creative stuff in his head. So I'm very interested to see what goes down with this. But, I mean, again, do we all really think Gunther's going to lose this match? I mean, that's, that's the thing. I feel like it's going to be like a good match. I feel like if they do give them time, I feel like they can go out there for like 10 minutes and put on a good performance. But in the end, Gunther's going to find a way to be on top, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing I hope. I hope they actually make a match out of this, not just a squash, because, I mean, the thing is, Mustafa Ali, with that video clip that he did, he said he didn't want to be someone he wasn't. He wanted to be someone that was winning championships, wanted to prove himself, wanted to really show himself out. And sadly, he's not really had the opportunity to do that. And obviously, he kind of more or less said that this is kind of like he either lives his dream or he doesn't. And I wonder what it means if he doesn't get that win, what that leads to in storyline. Leo, I actually saw this video by you sharing it on Twitter earlier. So what's been your take with Mustafa Ali with this video?
I think he made a lot of good points. Because like I've been following him throughout his WWE career. Like he used to be the heart and soul of 205 Live, and then went on to SmackDown and made an impact in his first few months and beat Daniel Bryan who was the WWE champion at that time. And then it seems like he's been subject to stop and start pushes over the course of his career, from potentially being in the spot that Kofi was in. We already seen what happened. Kofi was the one to go on to win the WWE championship. But if, Mustafa didn't get injured, we don't know how things would be different now. Because I think he was somebody that a lot of people was thinking was going to go to face Daniel Bryan at that Mania. Didn't happen. He got back up, and then looks like he was going to win Money in the Bank, and then he gets screwed over. So it's been a lot of bad luck for Mustafa Ali. I think he's definitely going to show up and show out in this match, because I think with Gunther, he's one of these type of people, like wrestlers. He has a lot of good matches with smaller competitors, and I see the same thing with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar puts on good matches with smaller competitors outside of Ricochet, but we're not going to talk about that. But he's pretty much one of these guys that can definitely really let this guy go out there and put up a good match, but we already know what's going to happen. And it sucks that that's the fate that, Mustafa's going to have to deal with. But we will have to see.
We'll have to see. I love a lot of the points you made there. NXSteve, anything you'd like to add?
I am yet to see the promo video, by the way. I've been off socials all day, so I have not been blessed with seeing it. But I imagine it's probably something great, because Mustafa Ali is great at the end of the day. I just think with Mustafa Ali, the worst part about it is because he was given bad creative by being in, of all things, Retribution. It's kind of soured the taste with a lot of people. Not that he was bad in it, but he was handed, let's be honest, dog shit creative, and he was asked to go out there and make it. Do you know what I mean? He's supposed to go out there and make it special, and he tried his hardest. But let's be honest, the whole thing was a complete shit show from the word go. So hopefully, we all sat and thought that he would, do you know what I mean, turn himself around and come back and deliver good. I mean, I know, obviously there was the point, I'm sure didn't he ask for his release as well at some point?
He did.
I'm not being funny. If he went to AEW, he would steal the show. He would be so good in AEW.
TNT champion,
he can go to Impact.
Exactly. Anywhere else he will go, he will excel massively. And it might be the case that that's what he has to do. It's just an unfortunate situation that he's in. He should, like I said, I remember his 205 feud with Buddy Murphy. Some of the best wrestling you were getting on that on TV, and no one was watching it because it was on 205, and it was absolutely unreal. So yeah, I feel for Mustafa Ali, man. Like I said, I wish him all the best and hope it really does turn around for him. Like, you never know. Triple H is in charge now, so maybe in the future it'll all turn around for him. Hell, if he wins Money in the Bank, wouldn't be a bad place to start.
To be fair, your fantasy booking suggestions with all of this linked together earlier on this stream was incredible, and I hope that that's where it's going to lead to. Because if we're being honest here, Mustafa Ali, like you said, he's been very unlucky with injuries and stuff like that. The points we were supposed to get to high spots, Leo, you mentioned that earlier, being given retribution, obviously, like you said there, Steve, that's it's a short straw. He basically tried to make champagne out of lemonade. Let's be fair, and he did the best job he could.
Thank you. I was looking for the PG narrative of that. I couldn't think what it was.
I struggle in myself, to be fair, but I've done my best to do what I can do. But at the same time, you can see that there is a talent there. And like you said, 205 Live, by the way, I used to love that. 2018, that was the show. I looked forward to that more Raw because of the fact you saw, like you said, Mustafa Ali versus the likes of Cedric Alexander against the likes of Buddy Murphy, and those guys won the show.
Everyone hated Enzo Amore as champion was fantastic.
Yeah,
you guys don't remember. Yeah. You remember when Mustafa Ali, they had that tournament in 2018. I think that really got a lot of eyes on 205 Live because they were going to crown a new champion. And a lot of people don't really give this match the credit that it deserves. But if you go back to WrestleMania 34, we got to see Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander for that cruiserweight title. That match was very great. That was one of the best matches I've ever seen. It's crazy it doesn't get talked about like that.
We may need to do a watch along. We may need to relive that. We won't do whole of 34 because NXSteve's not a fan of the whole show, but as we did in our recent worst WrestleManias ever. But at the same time, I totally agree.
I'll watch the first match, but then I'll turn it off after the first match.
Which is like a Royal Rumble. You've been eliminated and then you just come off the stream. Like it'll be how we have to do it. But we'll go around the circle. Obviously, look, let's be fair here. Mustafa Ali does deserve better. He deserves a good run, but this isn't going to be the night. But the thing that I like, one thing I did in his promo as well, we said that people are going to be in the crowd that are going to, he feels that people that he can represent him, and the fact that they have similar names to him and stuff like that. He wants to put on a good showing for that, and I really hope that he gets the opportunity to do that. So I'm going to go for Gunther win because Gunther's going to break that honky tonk record. But I hope this is going to be a 5 to 10 minute match. NXSteve.
As much as I would love to see Mustafa Ali win it, unfortunately, hometown hero loses. So, it's got. If it wasn't Gunther, it would still be the hometown hero loses. It's just the way WWE do it. So, yeah, Gunther wins.
Tino, I think you give your prediction early, but I'll ask for it one more time.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I said Gunther was gonna win, and and that's a good point. That I kind of forgot about that whole thing, like the injury and Kofi and everything. It would be interesting to see. They say everything happens for a reason, but it's one of those things. We never know what would have happened if Ali would have got that push. So, absolutely. But yeah, Gunther's gonna take the dub.
Leo, your prediction?
I gotta go with Gunther. I still think it's gonna be a good match for Mustafa Ali, and like you guys made great points. I just think I don't know what it's gonna take. I think he's gonna have to probably leave at some point to like reestablish himself because you said the hometown hero doesn't really win. We seen what happened when he faced Austin Theory for the U.S. Championship, and he was in Chicago and still lost. So it's probably gonna be the same thing here.
Yeah, unfortunately, so for Mustafa Ali, but probably a good night for Gunther overseas. Eric Lowe going, Ali wins. So there we go. We've got a prediction for Mustafa Ali. Dan saying Gunther retains. We've got some hope there, but also we have the thing is I have so much love for Gunther as well. I wanted to break the record now, so it's a catch-22 for me, unfortunately. Ed says I love Ali. It needs breaking. Honky's had it for nearly 40 years, but at least 35. I love Ali, but hopefully this is better than Brock versus Ricochet, but he's going to get crushed. Hopefully not Rusev-style crushed, though. We wouldn't want to see that. Eric, again, yes, Tino, Ali wins. Hopefully it's going to come up in here very, very shortly. It's not. Has it come out for everyone else, or is it just me?
Yeah.
There it is. The comment did come out for everyone else. That's good.
Oh, yeah, it did.
West Coast Podcast, what's up,
What's
y'all?
up, West
Hope you're doing well. Good to see you guys. Hope you're doing good. Also adding here, after Becky put Trish in a blender on last night's episode of Raw, Trish has to get the victory. Mustafa Ali's great, but he's definitely losing. Best case, they both steal the show. Great points there made there on both matches there. I have to say that I do agree. Yep, the heart and soul of the match of the Cruiserweight division. Absolutely, that is exactly what Mustafa Ali was. And also, Nubi Cole says, we all know why it's Asuka versus Charlotte. Am I right? Actually, no, I don't hear, actually, if I'm honest. I guess you mean Bianca, maybe. You have to tell me on that one. Gunther is winning. NXSteve, I thought you wanted to say something on one of those comments.
Just saying in general, this match actually has the potential to be match of the night. For what it's going to be in a squash, I reckon this could be an absolute show stealer, this one.
Yeah. It's got, Ali's a fantastic performer. I think no one takes that away from him. I think it's unfortunately, it's creative that lets him down, because when he has these magical moments, they're always on social media. They're always filmed from his car or from a locker room or something like that. And I think that's unfortunate, because not everyone's watching that. Not everyone's on social media. Not everyone's watching Monday. People that are watching Monday Night Raw are watching Monday Night Raw, but still, the whole wrestling world, like, if Ali's going to get that spot on Raw, most of the time it's probably like hour 3 or something. He doesn't get the opportunity to get the best way of getting over. He's had bad creative that's made him feel like how he's feeling. If some of that is probably real emotion that's coming out on the camera when he says it on Twitter. So I hope the best for him. And as Leo said, maybe he needs to go somewhere else and showcase himself and prove himself to come back, because the guy's got so much talent. It's unbelievable, and it's wasted potential. The guy should be doing more. But speaking of people who have had to be vocal on social media, Mustafa Ali in the last 24 hours is not the only one. We're going to be talking match 4 for you now, the SmackDown Women's Championship. The Raw superstar, number 1 draft pick for Raw, Rhea Ripley, defending against Natalya. Now, Natalya did come out, and Leo will be happy about this, save Dana Brooke, because Dana Brooke was getting a beating from Rhea Ripley at the time. But Natalya, though, hasn't really done much else since. They've not really even acknowledged this match, apart from the idea that Rhea's put the challenge out. So there's not really much more to say on the build. But one thing that I found was interesting is Natalya actually did a social media post. This one was a bit shorter than Mustafa Ali's, but basically saying that she's had to fight to stay in WWE for all the years she's been there. She's never been anybody's favorite. She sees the comments, she sees things on social media, she sees the podcasts online, but she knows she's not a favorite. But at the same time, this is where I come into it. I actually think that's a bit harsh. I think Natalya is a good in-ring wrestler. I would say that she was in an era where women's wrestling is not remembered for being the greatest, but although she's not people's favorites, I do think she's done a hell of a lot. And being around for 15 years in the company, that's probably, I can't think of many other women that have done that. So she deserves a lot of respect. Tina, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, and that's the thing. It's not like I know earlier I was like, oh, Natalya. Like, I love Natalya. I love everything Natalya's done. She's been around forever, and she's been that consistency. She's always been there. She's been hurt a little bit, but she's always there. She was on Total Bella. She was on Total Diva. She did all the things she did, like with Tyson Kidd. She trains people on the side. She does, and she helps all the girls that help. She went down to NXT to help Cora and Nikita and all of them. So she does everything that, she does. And Hall of Famer, first ballot, I'm sure she'll go into the Hall of Fame and everything. And she's been around forever. She's been around since I was like 7, 8 years old. So it's like she's been around forever. And it's like one of those things with Natalya that, like, I feel like she doesn't get the respect that she deserves. I think I just wish that they would, like, not give her these matches, because we know that she's going to go out there and we all know that she's going to lose. So it's like, it's one of those things that, like, I would rather see Rhea go up against somebody that actually has maybe a fighting chance than we all know that Natalya is going to lose at Night of Champions. And that's the only thing I don't like about it. Sometimes it's like when the matches are too predictable, it's like, I just hope they go out there, and as we were talking about with Gunther and Ali, hopefully they just go out there and put the best show on that they possibly can.
Try and steal the show. That's definitely hopefully something that they can these days. But that's the thing, we're guaranteed. It's going to be a good match because Natalya is consistent in the ring. She's at least a solid in-ring worker, even if people are not necessarily a fan of everything else that comes with the presentation. But Leo, what's your thoughts on this with Natalya? And also, just another follow-on question from what Tino was saying there. Should we have challengers that are necessarily where we have doubt at this point? Or is it good that we're kind of building this reign of a very dominant women's champion? Everyone that's fed to her, she destroys. We've seen her beat Dana. We've seen her beat Zelina Vega. Is Natalya the next one of what's going to be a long line here going forward?
I think with Rhea having Natalya as somebody, I think, with any title reign, you want to have somebody that's been established before and that's been there at the top. Last time we've seen Natalya with the championship, she was in 2017, and she's definitely been consistent. Whatever the company needed her to do, she always stepped up, whether if it was going down to NXT, being a tag team. She's been there, and I think a lot of people don't really give the credit that she deserves for a lot of stuff that she does put in for trying to help other talent get over, be noticed, and everything like that. But I think this is one of the situations where, like we've already said, she kind of gets put in a lot of these Saudi matches for titles when we know what's going to happen. She's not going to win, and it sucks that she's not going to win. But I think one of the things that really is recurring, she's not put in a position where she can win. This is a position she cannot win. Rhea is on a dominant championship reign right now, and she's going to have more than likely have Dominic in her corner. So that's another factor that you have. He's going to be that X factor throughout that match. So Rhea's going to probably just, I don't know if she's going to get destroyed, Natalya, in a sense, but it's probably not going to be looking too good for Natalya post this match.
No, probably looking at the match, you've probably got a great point there. But one thing I like as well that you said there, the idea of Natalya backstage fighting Rose, because she's been there such a long time, she must be like a locker room leader as well. Like, she must be someone that people like can go to and aspire to. Imagine these new NXT call-ups and think to themselves, well, we're new here. It's almost like a first day when you've been through NXT, but now you're on Monday Night Raw. Thinking like a Zoe Stark, a Katana Chance, Kaden Carter. Yes, you can go to the Becky Lynches of this world, but who else as well would be good to go to? Natalya. She's been there and done it for 15 whole years. NXT, what's your take on all of this?
I mean, at this point, Natalya has her spot on the roster. To me, she's kind of what Cassius Ohno was on NXT. Cassius Ohno was the gatekeeper to the main roster. Once you beat Cassius Ohno, you went up to the main roster. Natalya has that spot. She's there to do a job. She comes in, does this. And you'll actually be surprised. She's only ever had one match in Saudi, and she won it. She won the first ever one against Lacey Evans. So she's 1-0 in these Saudi shows. Never been in another one since. I was quite shocked. I was like, I'm sure she's only ever been in one. I was right. She was in the first ever one. But like I said, she's in this position for an exact reason. She's there because she is reliable. She can do a job. We all know she's not going to win. The spoiler alert, Rhea is going to win for me. But it's a case of she's there. She does a reason. She's a safe worker. She's not dangerous. She knows what she's doing. If anything, I think this actually pays more respect to her, that the fact that they know they can call on her in these times and moments and put her in these spots and know that they're going to get a solid performance out of her.
Absolutely fantastic points again there. So, NXTeve, you have said there Rhea Ripley. Tino, I believe you said Rhea Ripley. Leo, I believe you said Rhea Ripley. Would I be correct?
Yeah, Rhea Ripley.
I'm also saying Rhea Ripley as well there. So without further ado, we will be going into that delightful comment section once again and see what everyone has got to say. Just need to catch up with where everyone is. Here we've got Noob & Co. TV here saying, I'm going with Rhea Ripley to retain. We've got Too Sweet Cole who says Natalya is the perfect filler #1 contender. And that's unfortunately what this is going to be, filler. But ultimately, she does that role perfectly, as we've said in the chat here. Rhea retains. Eric Kierden also coming in with, why are we keeping the belt on Gunther? He's ready for the big time, just until he breaks Honky Tonk Man's record. And then I think probably something like a triple threat match. He'll probably lose that title and he'll probably start going for something else bigger.
I will say this one thing about Natalya is that, for me, she never has any new creative. It's just the same thing.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem, is that when she's put in these spots, there's nothing interesting about it. It's just the same thing every time. If she had a different reason or an excuse, or do you know what I mean? But it's just essentially like it's the same old thing with Natalya. That's I think the reason why a lot of people are not annoyed but upset at it. But like I said, it's going to be a decent match. It's just the fact that she's quote unquote boring. That's all it is. There's nothing new to Natalya.
Absolutely, and I think that's creative again. It does people wrong, and I think that's what it comes to here. West Coast Podcast here saying about Gunther's record till potentially from this year's WrestleMania could be interesting if he does hold it that long. West Coast Podcast, I respect Natalya for the longevity. She's solid in the ring. Just sadly started an era where women weren't respected. One of the best sharpshooters. That said, Rhea Ripley is about to fold her at the pay-per-view. I think couldn't have said it better. Very well put over there from West Coast Podcast. Noob & Co. says, I kind of feel bad for Natty. I know that she's following the Hart family legacy. We all know she's going to put on a great match. And that's also very true with the legacy that she carries on the shoulder each and every time she goes to the ring. Eric Douglas, how about that Dom in the bank cashes in and beats Carmelo?
No.
No.
What are you doing here, Eric? Go away, Eric.
Come on.
Eric, go
Eric.
be ready for NXT.
I love Eric.
You had me,
Go be ready
and
for
you lost
NXT.
me.
Eric, stay where you are, my friend. Don't you dare leave. We love it. I love it. Anyway, the top half of the stream loves it. The bottom half may not be. Where have they been? They've been in catering, sadly, at the moment. Katana and Caden hopefully.
I was just about to ask, before we move on to anything else, do you guys think we may see Alba and Isla defend their titles on Saturday in any type of a match? And
I have no idea.
are we getting any type of confirmation or any type of answer on these Raw and Women?
I really don't. What I thought they were going to do.
Different.
What I thought they were going to do is maybe at some point, I don't know if they're still going to do it, but it seemed like they were setting things up for like a unification match between the WWE Tag Team Champions and the NXT Tag Team Champions. And then once they unify them, the championships get defended on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. But I really don't know what they're going to do at this point.
That's what they should do. I don't know if they're going to. It's just so strange. They have a crowning champions next week on Raw, and those champions are not even in it. It just doesn't make any sense. But
the problem I have, though, is that NXT women's roster is stacked. There's so many women on it. You can't really afford to take them tag team titles away. You need something for them because otherwise it's back to the same old problem where they've got 30 women going for one title.
Absolutely. For NXT now, they should strip them. They should just strip them or unify them and put them on all shows. It's one or the other they need to do, but they need to decide fast. But they're a very impressive showing for Alba Fire and Isla Dawn this past week on SmackDown. Particularly Isla, her facials and her expressions and stuff like that are really catching with the camera. So that's a good sign for them in the future. I think they've got a bright run ahead on SmackDown. But we're going to move on in the meantime. Ladies and gents, we have got 3 more matches to talk about. And we're going to start off then with the Raw. That's right, the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair defending against Asuka. Asuka has returned, and this time, my goodness, it really is a heel. She's trying to blow mist in Bianca's face at every given opportunity. And also, she even includes special ingredients. Apparently, chili powder was experimented with one week, which is why Bianca was selling it so badly. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to Asuka's kitchen. I'm just going to say that nice and early. But at the same time, this build is what it is. I'm hoping in a way that they're going to make this. I mean, again, this could be an awesome match. That was something we do know. As for a prediction, I'm just not going to waste any time on this one. I think Bianca's retaining. I'd like to think they're going to do something where it's redemption for Asuka after WrestleMania, but because Asuka should have won at WrestleMania. But at the same time, for me, Bianca, I see her holding it all through the summer, and has been teasing the rumors of her and Street Profits turning heel at some point as well to keep that reign fresh. So I think it's going to be Bianca holding that title till WrestleMania next year, probably against Rhea Ripley or in some variation. So yeah, Bianca's going to retain for me. I've got not much more to say on it, unfortunately. Leo, what's your take on this?
I think Bianca's going to retain. I think a lot of people, I've been here, a lot of people say she's pretty much the woman's version of John Cena. Like every person that gets thrown at her, she wins and this, that, and the third. I think it's going to be a good match, but I think the thing with Asuka is if they were really going to put the title on her, I think they would have done it at Mania. So I don't think it would make sense in a booking sense to have her lose at one of the biggest pay-per-views that they put on during the year just to have her win at a Saudi show. Like, it won't make sense. So I think, like you said, there's a possibility of her turning heel, and I think that's exactly what I think is going to happen at some point during the summer. But I think maybe this is the first start of that. Maybe Bianca cheats to win. We will see. I don't know. Maybe
there's some mist waiting to repay the favor. It could be interesting if that was to go down. Also, we talked about the last 2 matches. NXT, I'm going to come to you next. We talked about the last 2 matches about how superstars have been failed with booking, and that's kind of what's made it a bit obvious because of the fact here that, but they are different. And what I was going to say, the flip was that they are different challenges to what we'd expect. They're fresh matches. Here is a rematch, but yet, arguably, I think maybe it would have made sense to have given a fresh opponent to Bianca Belair because we've seen this before. But at the same time, this is 2 established wrestlers that we know can have great chemistry in the ring. Yet for some reason, it feels like it's packaged away with these other 2 matches. Why do you think that is? Is that to do with creative?
I think that it's a case of there's so. Do you know what? My brain hurts with this one because it's.
He said my brain hurts.
I want to say Asuka wins, but then I'm like, it doesn't make sense because if they're going to turn Bianca heel, they're not going to turn a heel on Asuka unless they're going to turn Asuka face, and it doesn't make sense. It's at this point, this story is just hurting my brain, trying to work out the reason for it.
Like you can just see it, like the poor Steve. You can just see, like, as you're thinking about it, like.
There was a show back in the 90s called Stressed Eric where like the guy would like have a vein pop out of his head and strangle him, and that's what I feel like with his title run. But like I said, I'm Belair, put it this way, Belair is never losing at Mania. Belair is going on a Taker-style run at Mania. I'm telling you now, she ain't losing for years. Because as soon as I saw her win at Mania and do the three fingers, going, she's 3-0 at Mania, she's going to be undefeated for the next 7 years at Mania, guaranteed minimum. But I'm sitting there, I have all these hopes that Asuka can win because it's Triple H booking the show now, and it's like, I know Vince is in his ear like a humming noise that it gets inside like your brain and just chews away at the inside of your skull. And like I really wish that we would go back to NXT Asuka, who can go undefeated, but the problem is they're on the wrong show. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't put her against Bianca. If this was a different person who was a different champion, but Bianca's just booked too strong at the minute. I suppose the only reason why they've probably done these two again is because they can put on a quality match, then they can start something fresh coming out of the show come Monday on Friday or whatever, just to completely start again with these two. But I reckon, like, I think I'd love to say Asuka wins, but I think it's going to be a Bianca wins via DQ. I think Asuka's going to use that miss and get DQ'd out.
Interesting. Tino.
I mean, as Leo said earlier, like, how do you know? We've seen WWE pull things out. Like they always try, and I feel like if they were, I feel like this would be the one match. Because as Steve said, I would love to see Asuka win. I loved NXT Asuka. That run she went on was just great, and that's kind of, I don't know why, but that was kind of when I started really getting full into NXT, and I went back and watched a bunch of the old ones, like from like the beginning of NXT, like with Neville and Big E and Bo Dallas and everything like that. But Asuka was like the one to get me into it, and Asuka was just great. So I would love to see Asuka win. But I just don't think it's going to happen, and I'm sure Bianca's going to win somehow, and maybe Bianca brings some glitter mist or something like that is EST spit out or something. Who knows what they got up there? Who knows? But I mean, I feel like some way somehow Bianca's going to win the match, and it should be interesting because at this point, I just want to see like Bianca's. I kind of want to see who's going to beat Bianca more than I'm like who's going to beat Roman sometimes, because like who is going to beat Bianca? Like we don't.
I already know.
Who? What? Dana? Dana's not beating.
Yep.
No, Dana is not beating.
Yep.
Get it out of your.
I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. You
Get this guy out of the street.
Mark my words. Mark my words. It's gonna happen.
This guy.
Because he's the only one that has never faced Bianca in NXT or the main roster. Just a fun fact.
It's a fun fact.
It's a fun fact indeed.
It's a fun fact.
Unfortunately, though, they're on the wrong show at the minute. That will hurt that one for a while.
Yeah.
But,
unless you went Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. Yeah. Can you imagine that? That could be fun. NXSteve, anything you'd like to add before we go to our chattings? I feel like there's a lot of love for Asuka, but I feel like it's unanimous here, Bianca winning.
No, I've got enough to make her. Let's move on, mate.
Let's see what the chat's got to say. Then it's
just
quite
move
clear.
On.
Speaking it real in the house. Speaking it real, good to see is that Bianca will win. It seems to be unanimous at the minute. Although Eric says this has to be Kana Asuka. Do we feel we're really going to ever get to that character? Because I mean, I'll be honest. So. I haven't seen this character outside of like what everyone's portrayed of her. She's like in Japan. I want to see what that Asuka can be, but I just feel that WWE won't portray it like that. Leo, have you got experience of seeing what the
I've seen a little bit of it, but I don't think they would use it in WWE, because usually what they like to do a lot of times is if somebody was very dominant somewhere else, they kind of or have like a gimmick or something like that. They kind of always water it down to where it doesn't feel as important as it once did.
The perfect analogy is Bullet Club to the club. That's
exactly.
That's the scale. You look at it. Bullet Club, biggest thing in Japan, the club, and we know how that went when the first time around in WWE.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. It's got to be calm. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do then if they're trying to lower it down. But yeah, if she loses, what will they do with Kana? Hopefully, she'll get more evil if she loses. That's what I'm hoping they'll do with her. But
what they could do is, I don't know if they're going to do it. Maybe have Io Sky and Kana form a tag team. I think that's something a lot of people want to see. Or even if they want to turn Io Sky babyface, this could be a cool story to do. a cool feud.
They should just have feuds without the title. Like, I feel like they should have more women feuds without the titles. Like,
That's
imagine
why they need
Leo
a
and
mid-card
Asuka just having
championship.
a random feud on like Raw.
They need a mid-card championship, Tino. A mid-card championship is what the women need right now. Because if you're not being fed to the women's champions or being randomly put in a tag team, you're pretty much floating.
Kind of true. Kind of true. Daz says
it could be
Bianca
worse.
retains. It could be worse.
It
That's
could
true.
be-
It could.
It could be choppy pee pee.
Ah, Val. Uber Code TV.
I'll tell you now, if Vince was in charge, that's what you would have got of Asuka is choppy pee pee. I'm telling you now.
We love your trips. We love you. Uber Code TV. If it's going to be Bianca Belair winning, I know I'm a huge fan of Asuka, but we're going to have a double turn. I like that. I said should stop chasing strong opponents like Bianca, Rhea, Charlotte. There we go, Noob. Sorry, I did not get that earlier on, but now I clearly get where you're going from because you have said in previous streams you think Asuka should perhaps build herself back up. Maybe someone like a Shotzi. Start there, work your way back up. Maybe to the EO match as well, which has been suggested as well. Even the team, who knows, that could be quite fun as well. Because I'd rather have Asuka do a storyline with Damage Control. There we go, that's a different one as well. Most likely to deal with Io Sky and the former tag team, possibly feud with Ronda and Shayna for the women's tag team titles. That would be interesting. That would be something different. There's a great shout indeed. Asuka to win, says Eric there for us. It's our first Asuka win there. I didn't mean to sound so shocked. Just got to say very quickly. But Eric, good to get your prediction. Dana Brooke, the chicken was at the PB event. If you can't get on TV,
Why?
I'm very sorry.
Why?
I'm very sorry. Bianca, 100%. They need to get Dana on TV though. She is actually talented. She could do more.
Exactly.
West Coast Podcast. I need them to figure out what they're doing with both women's titles though already. Yeah, they need to rebrand them. They just need to rename them for me. Rename them.
I did hear something about that though. I heard about it.
Yeah, is it
Somebody,
a thing?
I think so. I think somebody was talking about it, and this is the idea. They're going to keep using those championships that they have right now, and at some point, we're going to introduce new designs for the women's championships. One will be called the WWE Women's Championship, and the other will be called the WWE Women's World Championship.
Perfect. That would be good. That's what we need, and then they don't have to swap them every time they change shows because that's kind of annoying. And you see with Gunther and Theory, it's perfect. Imagine if they had to swap them now. That would have been so painful. So,
oh no,
you know. Also,
imagine Gunther just whipping it at Theory's head though. That would be kind of funny.
Could see that. Actually, maybe I want to watch that now all of a sudden. I don't know.
No.
Dark Final in Japan was great. It worked well there because she had the finals to go with, and it was bigger than just in the ring. She literally took control of one of the promotions she was in. Sounds like it would be a lot of fun. Maybe I need to go and try and dig some of this stuff out there. So thank you for sharing that West Coast podcast. Also was at New Japan Resurgence as well. Seen quite a few clips on their Twitter and Instagram. Definitely go and check those out as well. They're including the Mercedes Moné and Willow Nightingale match. Nubico says, or have a storyline with Bayley to get revenge for Bayley did to Kairi Sane during the pandemic. Also like that. Nice long-term storytelling. Liking that. Also, further on with that as well, she formed her own faction, Kana, and people paid off to lose matches. Wildness does sound quite wild, I must admit, all new to me, but would love to see it. Maybe Liv beats Bianca when she returns. That could be a shout. Could
I
be
have
a
her turning heel though. Sorry.
Oh, you've done a fantasy booking video on this, haven't you, Leo, on your channel?
I do have her turning heel and then making her so she'll probably come back at SummerSlam. I think that's the best option to have her come back.
I like it. People go check their
Is
video.
it just a shoulder injury?
I think it's just a shoulder injury, but there's no timetable. So unlike what they did with Dakota, she's gonna be out 6 to 8 months, but there is no timetable for her, or she had to get surgery or anything like that. So that's why
these
it would probably make
injuries are
sense.
crazy. Like
it really is.
They need to work on these trainers in all sports. Like I'm a big baseball fan and everything, and like all these sports, the way these guys go down and their hammy hurts or their leg hurts or their hand. It's just like there's got to be some of these trainers or something because not all these people should be getting hurt.
Absolutely not.
That's why so a lot. The reason why a lot of the NXT women are out at the minute because the new strength coach they've got in there apparently has injured them all. In the new strength training regime they've got them in.
There you go. It's Liv has got a rotator cuff injury. A West Coast podcast has revealed there, and also saying that SummerSlam might be a good return timetable. And Too Sweet Carl adding in as well. Heard Liv was a concussion issue as well. Not very good for Liv there. Not good for Dakota either. Dakota picking up an ACL injury in the same match. She's looking like she's going to be out for a very
protecting
long time.
Liv, I guess too. She got it, trying to help Liv not get worse injured.
It's pretty much written on the wall that she's trying to heal though, Tino. We said it in the stream the other day. I think it's written on the wall that Liv's going to turn heel with everything that's pretty much happened.
Especially when Raquel just said, "I've got a new partner," and didn't even think.
Exactly.
I'm sorry to lose, Liv. Oh, by the way, Shotzi,
Straight
she'll
away.
do. She's
Exactly.
amazing. Have you seen Shotzi? I'm even wearing green just to match in the outfits. Like, you just literally completely forgot about the Liv stuff
To
completely.
be fair,
This is why I
I'm
said
just
she's
glad
turning
that-
heel.
I'm just glad Shotzi's get more TV time now because
Yeah,
she
yeah.
needs
Hopefully
something
she doesn't
great.
botch. That's all I hope. Hopefully we don't see her botch any moves in the tag match. That's all I'm gonna say.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. But it's good to see that some of the women are getting some more TV time nonetheless. But West Coast Podcast, Dakota probably won't be good until the Rumble. Yeah, that seems like a good time frame, and hopefully she will make a speedy recovery along with Liv Morgan. Wish them both the best. If you're enjoying the stream right now, then please make sure to hit the like button, by the way. Thank you everyone that's been checking out the videos so far. We have done 5 of the matches. We've got 2 to go. And, well, if you just joined the stream now, and if you remain with the stream, you know we're getting to the good stuff. That's pretty much where we're at now. So let's go on then to match number 6. It is the Unified Tag Team Championships. KO and Sami Zayn defending against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. The Usos, of course, not getting that championship opportunity. Of course, they have lost the tag team titles at WrestleMania to Sami and KO, not helping that storyline for the Bloodline at all. And obviously, since then, they lost the rematch as well. Of course, Sami defied the Bloodline in January, turning on Roman Reigns, of course, when he saw his best friend KO being attacked, and obviously wanted Sami to hit him with a steel chair. Of course, Sami hit Roman Reigns. This is the first time that Sami and Roman have shared the ring since Elimination Chamber, which was in Canada, which was the February pay-per-view, where Sami had a chance to win the gold. Now, I must admit, with most storylines, when we see this on my GMO, this would be on a cooldown. People would not be interested in seeing it. But for me, I'm going to be honest with everybody here. I think this is a masterstroke of genius of booking from WWE, because as I said earlier in this stream, Roman Reigns could have defended his championships here. He could have easily done that. 1,000 days, fantastic. But we know who would he have faced? He would have beat them. There would have been no conversation on it again. It would have been the same old song and dance that we've done with a couple of matches here. This is interesting. This could go any which direction, because what do they want to do with the storyline? Do they want to create more friction with Roman, Solo, and the Usos? Will the Usos get involved? Will it be a case that Roman and Solo win those tag team titles to cause that friction? Will Roman then and Solo win those tag team titles and be able to appear on both shows like Sami and KO currently can? Would that mean Roman can appear on Raw? WWE have TV negotiations to need to commence with Raw and SmackDown. Could be a good excuse to get Roman on both shows to keep TV networks happy that will spend more money. Did I not mention finish the story, Cody? If Roman can go on Raw, Cody can finish the story. What if AJ Styles won the title and it was on SmackDown, and yet somehow the other titles went over to Monday Night Raw? On the flip side, Sami and KO can finally get the victory over Roman Reigns. Does Roman finally get pinned for the first time since Baron Corbin pinned him back in 2019? Or does Solo Sikoa let the Bloodline down? Would Roman give Solo the same treatment he's given the Usos when he's shown he's a bit intimidated of Solo Sikoa when he did the shoulder barge on SmackDown just recently? There were a lot of questions, not enough answers, and let's not forget Sami and KO were the hunters on the road to WrestleMania. Since winning those tag team titles and putting the Usos in the rearview mirror, they are now the hunted. Imperium have made their claim. Judgment Day have even picked up a victory and probably could be the next challengers for those titles should Sami and KO retain. We mentioned at the start of the stream, we won't go into the politics again. Sami and KO are appearing on here in Saudi Arabia. Sami for the first time, KO for the second. This has got a lot going into it. And like I said there, this for me is the reason why I think it is probably the most interesting match of the night. And what is also great with Roman not defending his titles, more focus on that world heavyweight title. Kicking it with Leo, I've given a lot of statements there. What are your thoughts with Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa challenging for the unified tag team titles?
I think this is going to be a good match. I think a lot of people are going to be tuned in to see how this match is going to play out. I think the Usos are going to get involved. I think this is going to be one of these situations where it looks like Roman and Solo are going to take over, or vice versa. And then like how every match with Roman is going to end up playing out. The ref is going to get knocked down. Then proceed, the Usos going to come down to try to help out Roman, and Roman's going to be like, "I didn't tell you to come down here. What are you doing?" This allows everything to go full 180. Sami, Kevin get the win, but I predict something very shocking to happen. So I think the pay-per-view is going to be good, but I think they're going to want to do one thing that people will not see coming. I predict Sami Zayn is going to haluva kick Roman, and he's going to pin Roman to get back for everything that Roman's put him and the Usos through. And I believe this is going to proceed to what we're going to get to see with Solo and Roman being on one side and the Usos being on the other side, because I think what I've been hearing is at Money in the Bank, they're probably going to try to do this match between these four guys, Roman and Solo versus the Usos. This allows Roman to defend the Undisputed Championships at SummerSlam. So I think if you want to get to that potential match, they're going to have to play some type of factor at Night of Champions to get to Money in the Bank.
Fascinating points there. I love some of the arguments you've made there as well. And if Roman was to eat a pinfall, how would he react to Solo? If Solo's not let the Tribal Chief down, but Tribal Chief was let down because Solo didn't break up the pin, I like the idea of that. Or would they remain united because the Usos were the reason why? Could the Usos come and think they're doing a favor like they thought they were doing before when Roman was making a statement on SmackDown? Instead, Roman was upset they didn't get to finish his sentence. Tino, what's your take on everything?
I mean, I'm looking forward to this match, of course. I think it's going to be really good. But yeah, I agree with Leo, and Leo pretty much took what I was going to say out of my mouth. I do think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think the Usos are going to come out and get involved at some point, some way. It's going to set up the match at Money in the Bank and everything, because I feel like there's no other way that we could really see Roman losing. Like, we thought Roman was going to have all the problems that he had and that, like, he was going to get at WrestleMania, but he still had Solo and everything like that. And I feel like the only way for them feel like Roman and Solo to lose this match is the Usos getting involved. So I'm going to say Sami and Kevin take the win here and win with a Usos interference, or even if they just come out and look at him, like even if the music just hits. Like Roman's going to, like Leo said, Roman's going to be like, what are you doing out here? There's no reason for you to be out here. This is my time. I'm trying to win all the gold. He might even stay out there if it's the second to last. He might be a triple threat between Seth and AJ and Roman. Imagine.
Oh boy!
Please, no, please don't do it.
No, he's already got enough. He's greedy at this point.
I agree. I'm just saying.
And if he wins this, he has 4 championship belts. But as the guys below have said, Steve, the Usos could be a factor in this. And at the moment, everything the Usos do doesn't go right. How do you see this?
I don't think the Usos are even going to show up.
Oh,
I think. Because if you go by what's said on Raw, the Usos aren't even going to Saudi Arabia. Why would the Usos, narratively wise, why would they disobey the Tribal Chief again after everything that just happened on SmackDown when they jumped Kevin and Sami? Are they really going to do it, that they pee off Roman again and they get involved in another match? The important part of this match is who gets pinned. If it goes one way, for instance, if Kevin and Sami win, who gets pinned? I have a higher thought that Solo gets pinned, because then Roman falls out with all of the bloodline. And there's more of a narrative there for the rest of the bloodline to turn on Roman, because Roman can turn around and say, I didn't lose, Solo lost. You guys lost your tag team titles. Solo lost us the tag team title match in Saudi Arabia. None of you are living up to the name, to the name and the. Do you know what I mean? None of you Usos. You just, everyone's letting the Tribal Chief down. That for me builds the bigger narrative of the eventual turn when the bloodline eventually falls apart. I mean, we saw it on Friday as well when Roman turned around. He walked into Solo, and there was kind of a little bit of tension there. And I think if you want to build that tension a bit more, Solo has to take the pin. I think it has to be, because I think Roman needs a reason to, like, it's been him and Solo for the last couple of weeks now. Solo needs to have a reason now, and the Usos need to have a reason now to all turn on Roman. And I think it's going to be whoever takes the pin in this match.
Do you know what? I am going to agree with everything you just said, NXSteve, there, because the way you can add to that narrative as well, there is Solo's the one that takes the pin. Imagine Roman there when he said before, like, why the Usos? Why did you dedicate your tag team match to me? Why me? I'm not even a tag team wrestler. You dedicated that to me. You wanted to please me. Like, you should be doing it for the tag teams out there. So when Roman dedicated this match, he dedicated to the Wild Samoans, Arthur and Sikoa. So if Solo gets pinned, and he takes it out on Solo, like you said there, it builds that narrative there for the rest of the bloodline to eventually kick out Roman. But here's the other thing. The rest of the family will feel so, well, Roman's in charge, yet he's not, these guys aren't getting the job done. It's his leadership that's letting this down. and you did something for us, and you let us down. I think all these little pieces are coming in nicely, and eventually it is going to be the crumbling of the bloodline where Roman is the one that's kicked out. I do think that there is a tease where what has been said from the guys before as well, where we still get Roman kind of taking out on Solo, but where you see Solo kind of like react a bit, like with the thumb, for example. Roman's like, yeah, but I'll let you off. It was Usos that were also the problem, because you weren't there at the show. Like, you should have been there at the show, or you were at the show and you shouldn't have been at the show. He'll find a way there where we can still perhaps even get that tag team match, but that could be the case where maybe Solo is the reason of like where things are going wrong on the build to that show, where Roman is costing that match, and then that's where it leads to where it's the other three turning on Roman completely.
And I just can't see Roman being pinned until he loses those titles. I just cannot see it. As much as it makes sense for in what these guys said. You're right. If Sami's to do it and then Roman gets pinned, it makes sense. But Roman is booked way too strong, and I think for him to take a pinfall in a tag team match, for me, just doesn't kind of work. It can work, but for me, not personally. Roman isn't taking a clean pinfall, until he's in a match for them titles and he loses.
I'm going to put that question to the bottom, actually, because I like what you've said there, because the idea is, does it, Roman's not been pinned now for like 3 years. He's been now the champion for what will be 1,000 days, obviously, when it comes to this point. Leo, I'll start with you and ask then the question then, should Roman's first pinfall loss then be when he loses those championships? Does it take away from an eventual champion if he loses and is the one that's pinned in this tag team match?
I believe it does, because if you have him lose in like a tag team match, it's definitely gonna make, because I think the moment that they want to build to is whoever takes the championship off of Roman is pretty much going to be the next made star at that point. And I believe like everything that's pretty much been said like so far in the predictions, as with the Usos and now Solo being probably involved, is Solo taking the pin, that makes a lot of sense, because now Roman can be upset at everybody in the bloodline, and that proceeds to having everybody turn Roman. And I feel like we will get the final form of this at probably SummerSlam, if it is indeed Cody, because now everything that's happened at WrestleMania is different at SummerSlam. So now we can definitely see, because I think the best time to actually have Roman lose is when the full crumbling of the blood is in full effect. When everybody leaves Roman, he's going to be in a very vulnerable state. And that's going to be an easy opportunity for somebody like a Cody Rhodes or a potential Seth Rollins, just to name a few, to be the one to defeat Roman. So I definitely think him losing in a tag team match would definitely diminish whoever does go on to defeat him for those titles.
Absolutely. Of course, if the Usos and Solo were to turn on Roman, of course, they've been saying we are the ones, but Roman literally would just be one. Tina, what's your take on this then? The idea of Roman, if he was to take the pinfall, would that harm that eventual title loss later down the line?
I mean, I think it would, and I think I think the biggest thing too, and I think with Solo taking the pinfall and now Roman being mad at all of the bloodline and everything like that, now he doesn't have any backup. Every daddy's mad at everybody, or what, tribal chief, or he's mad. He's not. They haven't lived up to what he wanted them. They're not doing what Roman Reigns wants them to do. So that would be, as Leo said, it would be completely different at SummerSlam, where Solo wouldn't be getting involved, the Usos wouldn't be getting involved. It would be Roman against the world, and now Roman has to go out there. So I think no matter what happens, I don't think Roman would take the pinfall at all. I think Solo is going to, no matter what. That's why I do think that maybe the Usos do get involved, and then because then that will set a little bit of tension between the Usos and Solo too. So that would be very interesting too. So I think,
I was just going to say, the only way that, for me, that it works out that Roman takes the pin is that whoever pins him is the guy that then takes the titles off of him. I think that's the only saving grace. If Roman is going to take the pin, if it's Sami or Kevin, it has to be Sami or Kevin that beat him for them titles. That's the only way that works, I think.
Yeah.
I think made good points there. Let's go around the table then quickly and just give our final prediction. We'll go to the chat then. Tino, I'll start with you then. Sami and KO versus Roman and Solo. Who picks up the W?
I'll take Sami and Kevin to win somehow, somewhere.
Absolutely. NXSteve.
Sami and Kevin for me.
Leo.
Sami and Kevin.
Full house. Sami and Kevin to pick up the win there. As much as I do think the TV negotiations could play a factor long term to get Roman on both shows would make sense. I don't think for the sense of the storyline right now, I don't want to see Sami and KO lose those titles yet. However, if no one can defeat Roman as he's taking time off with all those tag team titles, maybe that's a way you can actually split them up or bring in the World Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. But let's not do that. We have too many tag team titles as it is. But yeah. That's just a quick add-on on what you could say there. West Coast Podcast in-houses Roman and Solo have to be the most protected people on the roster. It's hard to go against them, but I still think Sami and KO retain. I think that's very sensibly said there. Eric here talking about Liv Morgan forming her own group with Roxanne, Cora, and maybe a heel turn for Nikita Lyons. We love a bit of fantasy booking. We're all here for it. Sami and KO to retain by DQ. DQ is very popular this evening on a few of the predictions we've got here. I like the idea there. Obviously, if the Usos get involved, that could lead to that. Match after the Usos, just quickly of the judgment of that. The Usos were jealous because obviously KO made the dedication this was going to go to the Usos.
Right.
Their dedication, KO did that, which I thought was a really fun twist. What if it's also a jealousy factor that Roman and Solo are going to get the job done and the Usos can't handle it, and the fact they get involved and cause that DQ? That could be quite a lot of fun, NXSteve.
It can be. It's just, it's how it looks. As long as creatively it works out. I mean, I do you know what I mean? I'd be all up for seeing Solo and Roman take them titles. I mean, a four title Roman would be absolutely insane. And like you said, it makes sense with all
so
the team
funny
stuff like that. But then with the tag team titles, Roman has a tag team partner, so you have a get a jail free card for them to lose them tag team titles at any point. A DQ finish, I can't really see it happening. Maybe Roman spears Solo by accident, maybe something like that. Do you know what I mean? Some sort of kind of, if they're not used to tagging together, do you know what I mean? There's no chemistry, whereas Kevin and Sami have that chemistry flow. But like I said, don't you Roman and Solo is a very good possibility. Now thinking about it, because you have a tag team partner that can lose, it is a possibility.
It certainly is possible. And I wouldn't, as I said at the start of this match, I wouldn't rule anything out. Tino, DQ, what if it was, say, caused by the Usos or caused in a different way? Would it be something you'd be, you've mentioned DQ a couple of times yourself here on this stream. I mean, what do you reckon that's a potential for this match as well?
I mean, I definitely think it is potentially, but I think it would be more interesting to see like what would it would be interesting to see like who get the pinfall, what would exactly happen. So the DQ would make sense just because then Sami and Kevin still keep the titles and everything and Roman doesn't. But I feel like Solo getting pinned would just make Roman even more mad, and that's you don't want to make Tribal Chief mad. You don't want
I do. I want to see the Tribal Chief mad. Leo, anything you'd like to add on this?
I mean, y'all pretty much said everything y'all needed to say at that point. I mean, as far as the DQ thing goes, I just don't think that it would fit for this match because I think a lot of people on paper are looking forward to this match, and I think it would let a lot of fans down who are looking forward to this match in a sense.
I can see that point.
I think a DQ just gives them an excuse to have another tag team match on Raw or SmackDown. Do you know what I mean?
Always love their rematches.
They do. They do. Finney's back as well. Finney is back. Sami and KO wins. Sami pins Roman is Eric Say there for us there. And also we've got, Speaking It Real says it's time to split the titles. Have Roman and Solo winning the titles. Remember, there were deals made with the Judgment Day. Maybe they give them the Raw titles. Then the Usos go for the SmackDown titles. Interesting there, remembering the old relationship there between those two teams. See if it would actually remain today. Nubico says KO and Sami are winning, but I get the feeling that Roman is eating the pin because we might get a civil war between the bloodline. However, who will join the Tribal Chief? That could be the fun part. We think he might end up alone. Also, Eric says, so Roman doesn't defend until SummerSlam. WTF. Yeah, looking like it could be the case, although he is at least advertised for the shows. At one point, he wasn't even going to be at Money in the Bank. Roman is not going to be getting pinned, says Speaking It Real. And evening as well to Pro Wrestling Goat. Loving. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining the stream. Ed here saying as well, Solo's eyes never left Roman during the backstage promo after Roman bumped into him in the ring. That is very true. Solo a couple of times has given those eyes to Roman. And
his eye facials are like fantastic.
Amazing. They're a different level, and I think Solo definitely is going to be someone to keep an eye out for when it comes to Roman. Roman's last pinfall loss is to Baron Corbin, if I remember correctly. It is indeed. I remember it being in the month of December 2019. TLC indeed is the show. Thank you, actually. I don't remember the date itself, but that was the infamous before it turned to dog food. segment, if we remember, on SmackDown. And of course, the less we remember of that, probably the better. Ed Fries is saying, I'm not sure if it matters who pins Roman. Remember how many years we talked about who should break the streak? Then it was Brock. But Brock did benefit, though, at the same time. Brock did benefit from it. So, yeah, there's two ways of looking at it. There's certainly different ways of looking at it. American Nightmare as well. Hello, American Nightmare. Cody with us in the house. Hello, what do you think about Jacob Fatu joining WWE and taking part in the Bloodline storyline? Personally, for me, until he signs, I can't really think much of it. But if he was to, I guess he would be on the side of Solo and the Usos. But, Leo, do you check out much MLW? What's your thoughts on Jacob Fatu? And could he come?
I think he's good. I mean, I think he'll be a good part of the story, but I feel like they need to stop at this point because it seems like every person that's Samoan ends up in the bloodline. If you come into WWE and you're Samoan, you're joining the bloodline. That's pretty much what happens. We've seen it with Solo. We've seen it with the Usos. It's only a matter of time before we see Tamina in the bloodline. Like, come on.
True. Facts there, Tino.
Maybe the Rock and Roman team up and take on
no,
the two Samoans versus all the other ones. War games, Rock and Roman versus
it needs to be Roman. Roman won versus all since 2015.
Honestly, I've never watched MLW though, and I've seen some of Jacob's stuff. I think it would be interesting to see, but yeah, I mean, I think at this point, they need to like stop adding people and just kind of see like where it can go. And it's kind of crazy. I think a lot of people forget that Solo was in NXT. Like Solo is one of those guys that has really gotten over and gotten to what we kind of like, we haven't talked a lot about it with like all of the NXT superstars so far, Cameron Grimes, all the people that have been called up, at least like some of them are getting, and hopefully they get their opportunities and everything like that with Triple H, and we were talking about with Asuka and everything. So I don't know about him joining just because I feel like it would just be, but as you said, he's not even signed to a contract. So, I mean.
NXSteve, anything you'd like to add?
I said a couple of years ago I'd like to see Jacob Fatu in WWE because I just think he's a great wrestler. But I think he needs an NXT run because he just doesn't have the profile or the high enough, the name that comes with it, unfortunately. So he would need an NXT run for me. But just to add on to that as well, Solo has been robbed, right? Because Solo was North American champion when he come up to the main roster. I'm sorry, did they not just call up the women's tag team champions and are still women's tag team champions?
Why is Solo getting screwed?
Troll?
Why is Solo getting screwed out of a North American title run?
Facts though that he did have to vacate the title.
That was so confusing. Because, like you said, they have the women's tag team champions from NXT on their show, but Solo only, and then some people were saying they only wanted to have him be shown with the North American Championship with the bloodline so they can say, oh, we're running all of WWE. You could have made a good story with Solo as pretty much dominating NXT, and you can have all the gold from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. I think that would have been a cool story.
I will say, though, with the North American Championship, I'm happy for Wesley after everything that he went through, that he's getting this opportunity to go on this run, and he's pretty much defeated almost everybody, and he's got a triple threat match that's going to go down on Sunday, and I'm sure we're all doing preview shows for Battleground and stuff, so, but that is the one thing with, at least with that, like, at least Wesley has gotten over and gotten, and I feel like there is a lot of these superstars still from NXT and everything. A lot of people don't like really realize, like my cousin, texted me and he goes, who's Grayson Waller? He goes, I've never seen the Grayson Waller effect because he loves AJ Styles. So he saw the Grayson Waller effect on Friday, and it's like, well, Grayson Waller effect is great. You should see him on Twitter and everything. And it sucks that a lot of these people get like that. And it's like, so I kind of forgot that he was, when he did get called up, that he had to vacate the title. But I remember him walking into Sean's office and giving him the title. Like, that it would have just made sense to bring it up, even if it was for a little bit of period of time, and then have him lose it whenever. So
you made a good point, You made a good point because you literally just said something about NXT. And here's the thing: I feel like what happens a lot of times is if you're not known before getting to WWE, if you haven't established yourself as like a big name outside of WWE, you're pretty much not going to people are not going to really know you. If you're not like a Kevin Owens, an Adam Cole, or a Sami Zayn, these people built their name outside of WWE from Ring of Honor. So people are going to know who these people are. People like, for instance, like a Liv Morgan or some people like a, Jacob Fatu. If they're not on a big stage, people are not going to know you. So it's going to take storylines and booking to get people to get behind you. So.
And that's a good point with Liz. Liv, because I feel like the biggest thing with Liv, I feel like Liv got over to a certain point. And yes, maybe people didn't like her title run, but I feel like that documentary really helped because like hearing like a lot of these people's stories, I feel like a lot of people can get like into it, and that's why like they like a lot of these superstars, seeing like what they grew up from, what they came from, where they are now, and everything like that. And it's one of those things like not everybody has got the best life growing up and everything, and seeing that you never give up on your dreams and just keep going. That and that's why it's like seeing people get hurt like that, it just sucks. So, well, yeah.
Absolutely, indeed. There.
No,
it's good. Well, you mentioned NXT Battleground. Just a quick one-word answer because we need to get to the main event to go through. But Eric wants to know who we think is going to win the NXT Women's Championship at Battleground. Obviously, it's either Roxanne or Tiffany versus Cora or Laya Valkyria. So quickly, just one word answer around the table, a name of those four you think currently would potentially be the favourite to win the championship. So Leo, who would be your pick right now of those four women to win?
Tiffany Stratton.
Tino?
I'll go Cora.
Steve?
Tiffany Stratton for me.
I'm going to go Cora Jade. I think
it all
Tiffany's
depends on who
coming.
wins that match, though, with Roxanne and Tiffany tonight. I feel like that's because it could go either way. I that's the one. I just don't know who's gonna win tonight because obviously we all know Cora's gonna beat Lyra. Love you, Lyra, but
I wouldn't be surprised if they pull a 160 and have her lose.
I mean, imagine.
The thing
that would just make the match on Sunday though meaningless because we all know Lyra won't win the title. So I feel like it's got to be Cora versus one of the other two top because
we'll see.
Right.
At the moment, one thing for sure, we've all said heels. So we don't think a babyface is winning for sure.
Nah.
But,
No.
One thing we can say though, with our main event here today, is we have two babyfaces.
Sure.
Not for long.
We have Seth freaking Rollins going against AJ Styles. Raw versus SmackDown for a Raw Championship. The Raw World Heavyweight has confessed to the New York Times is a consolation prize because of the fact that Roman holds the Raw title and the SmackDown title. Thank you, AJ. That probably has something to do with the result on Sunday, but still, we're going to go through and talk about it anyway because Seth freaking Rollins, of course, is the Raw superstar. He went through a triple threat match with, if I'm not mistaken, Shinsuke Nakamura and Damian Priest. He then beat Finn Balor in the semi-final to get to this final. AJ Styles on SmackDown came through a triple threat match with Edge and Rey Mysterio. Love that triple threat match. And then beat Bobby Lashley at the end of the night to book his spot here. Since then, Seth Rollins has been away from WWE, been filming a Marvel movie. I believe it was Captain America, if I'm not mistaken. And that will be coming out soon. So he's been away for the last couple of weeks, but been doing sit-down interviews with Corey Graves, saying this is a chance to start again, changing WWE, and obviously to show himself to be something that Roman will not be. There has been rumors going around. I believe Work Wrestling was one of the reports going. Not that I normally would give them much credit for some of the stuff they come over, but I'll mention it here, saying there was hesitance to put the championship on Seth Rollins. They've come out with a new report saying that, going back on that, saying that if Seth and Becky continue to go to Hollywood, so it looks like maybe that's not harmed things too much. We spoke about the idea earlier on. What if AJ Styles was to win the championship? What happens? Does he go to Raw? Does he remain on SmackDown? There's no world title still on Raw. I'm guessing he would go to Raw, but I think that's the first question I'm going to go around the table with, actually. Tino, what happens if AJ actually wins this? Because there's not actually much storyline and build here, so we can just talk about what if the shock happens.
I mean, I feel like if he does win, I feel like it would just make sense for him to go to Raw. But I feel like I love AJ Styles on SmackDown. I don't know about anybody else, but it just feels right having AJ Styles back on Raw or back on SmackDown, the face that ran the place, the 2016 like I just would love, like that's the AJ Styles I love. So him going to Raw, it just wouldn't make sense. And as we talked about with the draft and everything, and I forgot to mention it when we talked about the tag team match, I think the only reason why Paul Heyman could have been on Raw is because it's for the tag titles. So I guess you could go to both shows, but that still doesn't make sense. So it's just one of those things that I feel like if Roman is on SmackDown, I feel like as much as I love AJ Styles, I just don't know if they're going to have it happen. But if he does win, I feel like it would be, and all of the OC would go to Raw. Because
that was my follow-up question, actually. So it's good to hear that, Tina, that you think the OC would join there. NXT, what would be your take? Would you see that that everyone would go over to Monday Night Raw?
I'd like to think so. I mean, it would kind of help since Triple H said that it's going to be on the opposite brand to wherever Roman's going to be on. So,
and I think he did say that.
if Roman's on both brands, and why can't AJ be on both brands? Who knows, man? But it's like one of them worst kept secrets. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like everyone feels like how this one's gonna go automatically. But hey, I'd be up for a massive shock, and I'd love to see AJ win it.
Absolutely. Leo, what's your take on the idea then? Should AJ go to Raw? Should he win this championship and take the OC with him?
I believe if he was to win, he would have to go to Raw because Triple H literally announced it on the Backlash kickoff show or something like that. Like when they did the press conference, he said whoever wins this World Championship, if somebody from SmackDown wins, they're gonna go to Raw. That's what's gonna happen. So he literally said whoever wins, if somebody wins from SmackDown, they're gonna go to Raw. But I just don't. It would pretty much just go back on everything that happened in the draft. I feel like. So I don't know. It could possibly happen, but I just don't know if they're gonna pull the trigger with it.
That's the thing with it, isn't it? It's the big question mark going in. But obviously, Leo, you said that you felt this was going to be, a match you were really looking forward to, and that could be like match of the night candidate. Obviously, these two had an absolute screamer back in Money in the Bank 2019. Do we see that happening again? And do we see the same result?
I think it's going to be a good match like it was in 2019. The only thing what I would say is I could see this happen, but I don't know if it will happen. I could see a situation where, I would love to see Seth Rollins win, and I'm going to pick him as my prediction. But I could also see AJ turning heel, screwing over Rollins because he has the OC in his back pocket to help him win, and we can get a story between Rollins and AJ, and Rollins is the one chasing, because I think it's a cool story to tell for a babyface chasing the championship and having to go through everybody in the OC to get to AJ. And I feel like once he wins the championship, it would be an even bigger moment. Because I'm not saying, and here's the thing, Rollins is the MVP and he deserves it. But it wouldn't be a bad thing if they was to postpone it just for a few more weeks and build towards that moment.
I like it. I like that. That's something different there. I think it's quite fun there, Tino.
I mean, I definitely definitely get what he's saying and everything. I just feel like them just because then I feel like them just waiting. I feel like what would be the point of just having AJ go to Raw for a few weeks? So that would be the only thing I would say. Because then what is he going to jump back to SmackDown? Then it's like we're playing hot hip hop, or is he going to stay on Raw? So that's the only thing with that. But I'm going to take Seth to win because I feel like Seth deserves it. But AJ turning heel, that would be definitely very interesting to see. And as I just said, seeing the face that ran the place back, that AJ Styles beat up Roman Reigns or beat up whoever he wants to go after, beat up Austin Theory. Let's do beat up Austin Theory. Get that going. Something, I don't know. But, I mean, I'm going to take Seth. I think Seth's going to walk out. We're going to see him holding the title. I hope we see it. And I said it last night on Raw. I hope we see him do the same thing he did with the NXT, WWE, and hope they do all three of them from when
you just brought something to my attention. You just brought something to my attention.
What?
If this is a little fun fact, Rollins has pretty much been a part of the majority of the inaugural matches that we've seen over the last few years. For the NXT Championship, he made it to the finals. Won inaugural NXT champion. Women's champion. Not women's champion, NXT champion. But the same thing happened with when he in 2016 for SummerSlam. Him and Balor made it to the finals for the Universal Championship. He didn't win. Now we're seeing the same thing a couple years later. World Heavyweight Championship. So he's been a lot of inaugural championship matches over the last few years.
And maybe that's a guy that you just mentioned. Maybe we see Seth and Finn maybe go at it for the title if Seth wins. Maybe they go and maybe they have a match at Money in the Bank or something like that. Or maybe it goes full circle. Maybe it's at SummerSlam. Maybe they just haven't, But
could happen. Or returning Drew McIntyre could be an option as well. There in the future.
I hope Drew comes back. I don't want to see Drew leave. I really like Drew.
He's got to come out with the Broken Dreams theme. He has to.
NXSteve? Oh, your take on this?
Unfortunately, the most important factor has nothing to do with WWE, and it's all about the film. Because if he's currently filming an Avengers film or a Marvel film, he ain't done filming in 2 weeks. Which is why I believe, and I'm going to give my prediction away, that AJ is going to win. Because you're not going to have someone who's not going to be around filming a film who's your champion, because they have this current problem with Roman, who's never around. Seth is not going to win that title until Mania, because that film is due out next May. And what way to get free publicity than to have your world champion, who's part of the Marvel film, just win the title at WrestleMania?
It's so sad that it comes to that.
And that's yeah, it is. It is unfortunate. It is really sad, but it's just one of them things. It's got nothing to do with storyline or creative or feuds or anything like that. It's simply about publicity and how WWE can make the most out of a situation. Don't get me wrong. I could be very, very wrong, and Seth could walk away with this title. But like we said, he is currently filming a Marvel film, a Captain America, so it's one of the big ones. It's not something that's going to Disney Plus. It's going to be released in box offices. The film's due out in May, a month after WrestleMania. So, for me, Seth wins at Mania. He's champion, then goes on tour, doing all the press and stuff for the film, and he's currently world heavyweight champion. It makes all the sense to me.
NXSteve, I like that. I like that idea. But the only thing I would say is, what if Cody Rhodes wins the championship? And at Mania, instead of winning the world title, we do a full circle moment. Cody, Rollins, WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, or how many titles they have by then, and have him win there. Or even beat Roman.
Cody isn't winning a title until he beats Roman for that WWE Championship, because we all know it's the one he wants. He's not going anywhere near that world title. He's going to be fully booked with storylines until 1, he wins Money in the Bank, 2, he wins the Rumble. But he's going to be nowhere near a world championship.
That's a world championship.
Mania next year.
I wasn't talking about the world title. I was talking about the other one.
Oh, so yeah, I just mean that's what I mean. Cody for me is not going anywhere near a world. He's not going to win a world championship or a WWE championship until Mania next year, when he beats Roman Reigns, and that's when Roman will lose as well.
And that's why Cody actually is going to play into my prediction as well. You mentioned Cody. If Seth was going to be away long term, or this was going to be a thing that would affect it, WWE would have known in advance that Seth was not going to be there, and Cody would be in this position, and Cody would win the title. So I'm going to go for Seth to pick up the victory here. They must have faith in what they're going to do with the storytelling, the plans afterwards. It couldn't be something as simple as Seth wins the title and his first challenger comes out and beats him up so badly on Raw, it sets up the match for Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, probably Money in the Bank, where then they can use the storyline saying, well, we're supposed to get a world champion, but he's not here every week.
Yikes.
That could be a storyline, but it's actually an injury angle, Rob. Even though we know for real he's filming outside. But Leo, any words you've got to say on the prediction? I feel we might have got your prediction already, but I want to get it clarified.
I got Rollins winning. I have Rollins winning.
Rollins winning, and Tino, you said Rollins winning as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Rollins, and that's the one thing. It's kind of like crazy that it's kind of come to that, like with the movies now, with like all these guys like doing and all these. Like Liv got a role in some type of a movie too, so it's kind of crazy to see. And it's like we talked about with the opportunities earlier. Like it's so cool to see these people going to see other things and do other things, because then it brings fans like us that we love Seth Rollins. So let's go check out Captain America, because to be honest, I'm one of those that I like some of the Marvels, but I can't watch every single one, because just like wrestling, there's so many of them that they're 3 hours long. We'll be here for So it is definitely really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna say Rollins wins. Because I just think, with the way they've been building them and everything like that, it would be just so great, like just to see him I want to see Seth as a champion again.
Absolutely. Final words, NXSteve, and then we'll go to our chat.
Yeah, so do I. But like I said, guaranteed, this is 100% certified. Rollins will be world heavyweight champion come May next year when that film comes out. Whatever he's up against, I'm guaranteeing you now he's going to be champion, because that cross promotion is insanely stupid for WWE to miss an opportunity on. So, yeah, he will be world champion. But like I said, I don't mind being the odd one out. I just think it adds more fun to it when we do these predictions.
Hey. Absolutely, indeed. If we picked the same the whole way through, my goodness, wouldn't that be boring? Especially as we've been going for well over 2 hours now. So, for everyone that's been watching from the start, by the way, bless you, you've got patience. But we thank you all for sticking around with us, and everyone that's come in throughout as well. All those that drop likes as well. Just to say as well that we'll be dropping the links to both Leo and Tino's channels in the description of this video after I've gone offline, because I've not had a chance to do it before. I will also do it as the top pinned comment as well to make sure I'm going show them some love on YouTube. They do some fantastic work over there, which they'll be sharing with you in a couple of seconds' time. But just before we do, we've got our fantastic comments that are coming from our fantastic audience as always. Daz saying Seth to win with a stomp off the top rope. Definitely was a popular way to how we finished at Backlash. We're going to see him do it again. Speaking of Real says this is going to be a great match with Rollins winning. The match, it's his time. Sorry, it's his time indeed. Well, many of us feel it's Seth's time. So speaking of Real, 3/4 of us agree with you. But West Coast Podcast says it's about time AJ gets the win over Seth in WWE. Get the OC involved, do whatever it takes. Mr. Tino to become world champion AJ Styles. Knox, I feel it's you that's watching. I feel like now I've got it there. Knock, it's definitely you this time. It's always one. It's either Knock, Eric, or Dax. I'm going for Knock. Definitely been tuning in today.
Before I forget too, I want to say, like I was talking about the video package earlier, I think it's so cool that they're going back to like Seth in his very first NXT. They're going back to like AJ and IWGP, and obviously they can't show the TNA stuff, but we all remember him from AJ Styles from TNA. So it's really cool to see that, because as we've kind of seen like this be built up on two different shows, it's nice to see them kind of build it up in a way. I was kind of hoping they would do like some type of interview with AJ Styles like they did with Seth, but I mean, I still think like that, like I think like from what they've done, I think the build has been like very, so yeah. I just wanted to say it before I forgot.
Absolutely. But we've still got another SmackDown, so we may get that from AJ this Friday, which is not involving the Grace Samora effect. But Eric says he wants AJ to win, so we have Cody versus Roman, an American Nightmare with our last comment in for us. So Seth needs to win this match. He is the only one who didn't lose to Roman, so the new title won't be seen as secondary. Won to Roman's titles much. And I think that's a great show. And also why it makes sense as well that AJ Styles is in this match, because yes, he lost to Roman, but the last time was 2016. So it's the right two people they've put in for this match. But I do agree that Seth is the right one really to take it home. But we are going to take it home with one last question going round the table. Obviously, we give our takes of what we think. But if we were going to go on a 5-star rating, early doors going in, what is going to be your prediction, NXT, for a 5-star out of 5 stars that this show will be when we come to a review?
I'm going to play it safe and go with a 3, because there's the potential for some great matches, but there is just a lot of stuff that really is just throwaway, I think, with this.
Absolutely. Tino?
I'm gonna agree with, like, I'm gonna say like a 3.5, because I feel like the matches that like Seth and the tag team matches are going to be very good. But I feel like we're going to get like a period of time. I feel like we're like 3 matches are just going to fly by. It's going to be like 5 minutes, 8 minutes, maybe 13 minutes and something like that. And then I feel like when we get to the bigger matches, it's going to be, because I feel like I've noticed throughout like the pay-per-views, I get like this like feeling where like it's the first 2 matches go, okay, we're ready. And then it kind of goes through like a doll. And then it's like they kind of ramp it back up to get, so hopefully, and I think that's the big thing is I've noticed throughout the last few pay-per-views, it all matters where they book these matches. Like we saw a Backlash, like Bad Bunny and Damian Priest should have main evented. That would have been a great way to end the show with LWO, Carlito, and everything like that. So as we talked about with like Brock and Cody starting, it should just be very interesting to see how they put the card out and how it plays out, because again, it is 1 PM on a Saturday too. So you also got to think about how many people are really going to watch it, like especially here in the US with it becoming nice out and everything like that. So, we'll
see how it's going to play out there. And Leo, what's your take then of an early star predicted rating?
I think it's going to be a 3-star show. I think it's going to be very solid. I just think some of the matches that they're going to do is probably going to diminish it just a little bit. And then I think it's one of the things where you place the matches throughout the show, it matters. Because if you put a match, usually sometimes you should put a match that people really don't care about, but just to get out the way. That way you can get to like the matches that you probably do want to care about. But you always want to have that good match to get the crowd into it, to set the tone throughout the rest of the show.
Absolutely, indeed. I think the same as you guys are on 3.5. I think that's a safe area of where it can go to. And our last comment in there before we wrap things up then, Daz asking, do we think that Ray will be in Money in the Bank? I hope so as well. It would be good to see Ray in there.
And I feel, and we talked. I'm sorry, my bad. I keep talking.
No, I was just saying it depends on if they do one Money in the Bank or if they do a SmackDown and Raw like combined one. It depends. I think there's other people that long-term future-wise probably deserve to be in there over Ray. It's the only reason why I would say no.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right. Well, I want to say big thank you to everyone who has watched this video today. You are all fantastic. Thank you for taking the time of your day to watch our Night of Champions 2023 predictions. If you've enjoyed the video, then please do consider hitting the like button. Share it with a friend as well, because sharing is caring. And believe it or not, all that stuff, it really does help this channel a lot. You really are doing a favor. Even if you just tell one person, if you just hit a thumb up, if you leave a comment after this video has finished, it always helps as well. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well if you are new here. If you're watching on delay, thank you so much. You've been sitting here for 2 hours on delay as well watching it. Really do appreciate it. I want to say a huge thank you to our panel as well. Literally, as I say, these guys know their wrestling. We've seen it here today. Fantastic conversations throughout every single match from start to finish. First off, a big thank you to NXSteve, more or less a co-host at this point, my tag team champion, my tag team partner in crime. Thank you for coming on as always.
No problems, man. As always, it's always a pleasure, man.
It's always great to have you here. And Tino, big thank you to you as well as always. And ladies and gentlemen, like I say, it's Tino's time all the time, no matter where you are in the world. Look, check your time zone. And if you check your watch, check your time, check your phone. It's going to say Tino's time on it. Tino, for everybody that has not already subscribed to your channel, and it's criminal if they're not, please tell them about it right now.
Well, you can find me at Tino's Time Wrestling. As you said, I'm live all the time. You go on YouTube, I'm sure I'm there doing something, gaming, wrestling, baseball, football, whatever it may be. I'll be live in 40 minutes with, I guess, my tag team partner, my co-host, Leo, I guess. Maybe we should do a tag team match between the four of us. Let's go. There we go. So, but we'll be live for NXT in less than an hour. So you know, any wrestling's on except Collision. I'm thinking about Collision. I don't know. Too much wrestling now. That's a different podcast though. But first time, 1996, come and hang out, you know. I'm live all the time.
45 minutes you've got, and then go and join Tino on there. And of course, we can always kick it with Leo as well. Leo, thank you so much for coming on the channel for the first time. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Some fantastic takes throughout the entire stream. For those that are not aware of your wonderful channel, please tell them, please, a bit about it.
Yeah, my channel is Kicking It. I do wrestling content, horror content, gaming content, you know, pretty much every day of the week. We're on the road to 500. We're at 493 subscribers right now. We're 7 subscribers away from 500. We're going to try to get to that 500 milestone by Night of Champions. So if you guys are new, please subscribe to the channel.
Like I say, put the links in the description. Let's be fair, guys and girls. You would be silly not to subscribe to these channels as well. Let's get Leo as well to the magic 500. Clearly does deserve his amazing content. Thank you all so much for watching, and look after yourselves. Enjoy Night of Champions wherever you're watching, whether you're watching live, whether it's on delay, whatever you do. Look after yourselves and each other, and we'll see you all very, very soon. And for those that are wondering, just quickly, what's coming up on my channel for the rest of this week, tomorrow will be NXT Battleground, and it will not be a live stream. It will just be a simple recorded video, but I will be back for a live stream on Thursday for AEW Double or Nothing predictions. And of course, just to let you know as well, on the Mark Wrestling Podcast, I'll be on their channel on Thursday night as well.
A double header. Hey.
A double header, no sleep. Friday is going to be painful, but you know what? It's going to be worth it. I know it's certainly on Thursday, it's going to be worth it. I'm really looking forward to it. But look after yourselves. Thank you so much as well. Speaking It Real here with a very kind words as well.
Thank you,
Make sure to go and subscribe to them as well. Fantastic content over there. Look after yourselves. Take care, and we'll see you all very soon.